reiterating that in my own head. More protein, less sugar than a regular. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Deadline Day Live, powered, people, by Snickers Protein. It is so good to be back on the Bull Street channel live. Transfer deadline day is not the same without all the gang getting back together on the Bull Street channel, and it is happening once again. Flav, how are you feeling? Are you feeling emotional?
I'm not. No, not emotional. What way? What do you mean emotional?
You
I'm
seem
fine.
emotional.
What?
You seem emotional.
No, I'm not. I'm fine. I'm okay, all right. I am a bit emotional. Got all of the Bull Street royalty coming back together, James. Me and you are back on Bull Street once again, thanks to Snickers Protein. And it's the most exciting part of the window, isn't it, Jim? It's the one where all the transfers get done on the final day. And there's no better place to be than on Bull Street's YouTube channel.
Absolutely. Well, we hope there are still some deals left to be done. Oh, there'll be deals, no doubt about that.
Oh, yes.
The important thing is that thanks to Snickers Protein, and don't forget there's more protein and 30% less sugar in a Snickers Protein than a regular Snickers. We're going to be here for the next 4 hours, diving into all the dealings, chatting to some old friends as well, but also talking about your footballing woes and putting you at ease using or utilizing, more importantly, the fan line, the Snickers Protein fan line, using on Twitter the hashtag fan line. You guys can let us know your footballing woes, and we're going to give you some advice, some James and Flav, some Flav and James, some flames advice, if you will. We're going to get you set. You're going to be absolutely fine. So if you've been frustrated in this transfer window, we are here for you. We are here for you for the next 4 hours to talk about your gripes. So make sure you get involved using that hashtag on Twitter. Remember, hashtag fan line. It's us for now, but it's actually other people have been helping us out, haven't they, Flav?
Yeah, we've had tons of people over the last few weeks sending in their fan lines, and we're in a situation now where we have to. To be honest, when I talk about this, I get a little bit sort of edgy because I've got gripes about the transfer window and what's been going on at Tottenham this window, James. But you're fine as a QPR fan because you've brought in 3 players, right? What about me?
We have things are good. Yeah, I mean we're using that phrase, footballing woes. I think you're a bit of a project today. We need to sort of lift you up a little bit, and who knows? One name that's been spoken about, Diego Costa. Who knows? Could be still turning up at Tottenham. He'd be perfect for Spurs. But in terms of advice, up to now with Snickers Protein, Steve-O the Madman's been the main man, hasn't he? He's been sorting it out, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's been doing a great job helping everyone out with their transfer woes, and like he did here for our little old mate, Rory Jennings.
Snickers Protein fan line. Steve-O speaking. How can I help you?
Oh, Steve-O, I'm so relieved to finally get to talk to you. You know what they're like at Chelsea. The board, they're ruthless. We need to make the right signings in January, or I'm worried that we won't make the Champions League. And if we don't make the Champions League, they're going to sack Lampard. I know they are.
The universe is a very complicated thing, my friend. But you got Frank Lampard at the helm. Lampard at the helm. Lampard at the helm. Lampard at the helm. Hello, Snickers Protein fan line. Steve-O speaking. How can I help you?
Hello, Steve-O.
Rory. How can I help you, mate?
It's happened, isn't it?
Relax. Take a deep breath for me, Rory.
I don't know what I can do.
You need to chill out. You need to get yourself a Snickers Protein bar. Maybe do some yoga. Open up your maraca. It's not that deep. I'm telling you, Rory. Just need to relax, mate. You understand?
Yeah, I feel much better. Thanks, Steve-O.
Nice one, G. Light work. Light work.
There you go, lads. There you go. Steve-O can help a Chelsea fan get over, losing Frank Lampard, the legend that is Frank Lampard as their manager. Then he can help with anything, and that was absolutely a purling performance from both them.
Yeah, absolutely. Rory there. I love the line. I don't know. that was great.
I don't know what to do.
Well, so Steve-O's sorted him out, but I think, look, for us, he's passing on the reins to us. So, look, Rory's going to be in the stream later on in the evening, so hopefully, he's still okay now. This obviously he's had a tough week or so with Frank Lampard losing his position, but I believe in us. I believe that we're qualified for this. I think we can deal with the fan line today, and we're going to be doing that throughout the show. I'm excited to hear what people have got to say, what they're struggling with.
I mean, you're qualified. I'm not. I'm still a Ray. I'm a bit of a mess, really. And to be honest, I can't really understand what Rory's worried about. So yeah, I've got some work to do, James, but I'm sure you can help him.
I think we're going to be okay. I'm going to lift. Chin up, Flav. Yeah.
All right.
Just do it for me now.
Yeah.
Do it physically. Do it physically.
Really?
Mentally. Yes. Just do it quickly.
Mentally, chin up.
Chin up. No, physically chin up. Then
this is ridiculous.
Thank you. Just hold that for a minute. Don't worry, it's not just going to be me and Flav for the next 4 hours. As we said, we've got loads of great guests. And drop it down, Flav. And that's part of it. It's sort of neuro-linguistic.
I do feel better, actually.
Good. There you go. So we're going to go around the screens to have a chat with some of the greatest Bull Street legends of the past. They're returning. We can do that right now. First of all, with the main man, Paul from Red Men TV. Joins us. First of all, let's introduce Paul. Paul, how are you?
Yeah, I'm very good, very good. Back on the Ball Street channel, isn't this lovely?
I know, mate.
You look wonderful, Paul.
You look resplendent.
Thanks, mate.
I miss your face.
You're so kind.
And of course, I was just having a look at the chat there. Don Robbie, it feels like I should be calling him. Don Robbie joins us as well. Robbie, how are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm good. Good.
Good, man. So both the guys have actually had quite a busy window, which we're going to dive into. Initial thoughts on both of those. Paul, I'll start with you, and then Robbie, thoughts on your club so far.
Yeah, mad. What a mad old window it's been. Liverpool notoriously do very, very little business in January, and we were all geared up for just a few weeks of misery. Liverpool have been rubbish for most of January, which didn't help. And they turned the corner, and we're like, we can just get a centre-half in. Doesn't matter who it is, anybody, literally anyone who claims to have even known a centre-half in their life at some point. We can just get one of them in. That'll be fine. And then we signed 2 instead on deadline day. So no, it's been a bit of a turn up for the Bucks, really.
And Robbie, how are you feeling about your situation? Centre backs involved as well today for you.
Yeah, listen, Liverpool, thank you very much. They helped us out by them signing that guy from Schalke. That meant that Mustafi was free to move away from Arsenal to Schalke. So every Liverpool fan, thank you very much, Liverpool Football Club. You have done us a big favour today. Trust me, we are very, very grateful. But no, it's been a good window actually for Arsenal. We sort of priority number one at Arsenal is we needed to move out a lot of players that have been sort of hanging around the club for a very long time, not even playing. Mesut Ozil, Kolasinac, who also went to Schalke. Now, of course, Mustafi's going to Schalke. And, of course, there was Socrates as well. So that's like 4 high-earning players, especially in the case of Mesut Ozil, that have left the club. And, and then also we brought in Martin Odegaard, which I think is a great signing. Matt Ryan as a backup keeper. I'm still hopeful that we could possibly get a left-back before the end of the window, but I'm not really hearing a lot of talk on it. But so far, I've been very pleased with our window. Very pleased.
Okay, this probably isn't helping Flav's Flav's mood after. I thought I'd just picked him up, but maybe this can help. Maybe this can help, Flav. Do you remember? Generally, when it comes to deadline day in Bull Street, it's been a glorious partnership, and last year was very, very special. We were powered by Snickers last year as well. And it was very, very special because we were able to essentially create a football transfer story and get it trending in the top 10 on UK Twitter. The name was Rick Barnes. We will never forget it. Let's see some of the highlights from that transfer deadline day last year.
We're going to invent a footballer first and foremost.
We're going fictional. There's baby steps before we get this really going. We've got to do the backstory, and we need your help with it on Twitter, of course.
Maybe using Snickers as some sort of anagram.
Snickers bar.
Rick Barnes.
Rick Barnes.
Rick Barnes. You could say he's a relation of Anthony Barnes. It
sounds like
a footballing dynasty.
The key to any lie is detail.
Use the hashtag on your game. Talk to Chris.
Here we're going to get some special edition Snickers bars made. And it's going to say Rick Barnes on them. We need your help to get Rick Barnes into the trending topics.
He can play in
I would believe
the 2 leagues. He'll play in the lesser of the 2, and then can really hide him.
It's a real struggle keeping up with real transfer business because the Rick Barnes It's going off so much. Simon Diggins says, look like Rick Barnes is going to London. Gutted Liverpool couldn't get a deal done for the Canadian Messi. Because that's what you've got to do when you're talking transfer deadline day. We are now trending 10th on Twitter.
Oh my! Wow, that's amazing.
Let's keep on going.
Do you feel like the story needs a twist?
Brendan Thomas says Rick Barnes' agent, his dad, is asking for a massive signing-on fee.
Apologies. Can I just say, this is, honestly, I'm not joking, this is the first time I've ever eaten a Snickers, and it is banging. So nice.
So what is the story of deadline day? It's got to be Rick Barnes, right?
We got to about 3 hours in and I forgot we'd made it up. I was like, I really hope his medical doesn't fail.
Yeah.
Thank you to each and every one of you who's been involved in the crazy, magical world of Rick Barnes.
I think everybody's exactly the same situation. Where we've just forgot that this guy didn't exist. The people were talking about elements of his playing style. And I remember one thing that stood up, he had a wondrous left peg. Rick Barnes had quality down the left-hand side. And it was all, do you know what was beautiful about that story and getting it into the top 10 trending topics on Twitter was the fact that everybody sort of got football and understand exactly what kind of player this fictional player, Rick Barnes, might have been, just given the right information to make it sound completely plausible, was absolutely wonderful.
It was amazing, yeah. And I've got the imagination of the Bull Street fans is always there for all to see, and that was a glorious moment. Of course, just to make it clear for anyone who missed it last year, what we're doing. But Rick Barnes is an anagram of Snickers bar. I think that's important to say. That's the level we're at. Do you know what I mean? We've taken our time over this. In the top trending topics last year, it was absolutely brilliant. Of course, like we've said a couple of times now, make sure you get involved on Twitter using the hashtag fanline, because on socials, it's going to be a massive part of the show. It always is. And we can go to our social corner. Now, a lot of people don't think there are corners in the internet, but there are. You can remotely have a corner. It's the social corner. And today we are going to be joined for the next few hours by Mr. Jack Collins, host of Ranks FC podcast. Jack, are you there, my friend?
Come on!
I am. Let's go. Thank you, James. Thank you. I'll be bringing you up to date with the latest footballing news over the course of the next couple of hours. I did enjoy, there's already been a tweet about Rick Barnes, by the way. Kevin Licorice. Rick Barnes has flattered to deceive since his last move in January. Anyone see coming in for him in the next couple of hours. So, yeah, no, that's good. I mean, Moises Caicedo's gone to Brighton, United target at one point. And as you mentioned in the segment before that, Ozan Kabak looks like he's close to Liverpool. 20-year-old centre-back from Turkey. Now, this is a big move, boys. I'm pretty excited about this one. Obviously, I'm not a Liverpool fan. For my sins, I support Fulham. But it's one of those things where we look at this and you go, can anyone fill the hole left by Virgil van Dijk? I mean, it's a big hole, Flav.
Is he big enough? I mean, he's a big lad. So maybe he is big enough to fill that hole. Is he? Is there any chance that he that he could, like any centre-backs, what Liverpool need right now? But this was a player that they were linked with before they were trying to solve this crisis, right? They haven't just plucked this guy out of nowhere.
Yeah, this isn't a deal that they've nabbed out of nowhere, like you say. It's one that's been a long-term target for Klopp, and he's a good player. 20-year-old centre-back from Turkey. He's been a bright light for Schalke this season in a terrible campaign. They are rock bottom of the Bundesliga, 9 points adrift from safety, but this is something, like we say, that Klopp has wanted for a while. He's strong. He plays on the front foot. He's aggressive in the tackle. And they've replaced him, it looks like, at least, with Shkodran Mustafi. So if there are any Schalke fans who are desperately upset about this, who are really, really quite concerned about how their team's transfer window is progressing, how today might impact their season, or whoever you are, if you think that this is a worry, then please interact with the Snickers Protein fan line using the hashtag fanline on Twitter, Facebook, in the live comments, and we will try to put your woes at ease. We've already had a few coming in, and it's been buzzing. It really has, the Snickers Protein fan line. And Manchester United fan Alex Lang has sent in this problem for us. I'm going to leave you two to deal with it.
I definitely think United should get the checkbook out in the last few days of this window. If you look at where we are in the league, obviously we're top of the league. It's really tight up there, and we sort of didn't really go all out in the summer. I mean, obviously Chelsea were probably the biggest spenders. City go every year, every window it seems like. But I think if we'd gone out there and got a proper right-sided player, if you look at our football, it's always down the left with Rashford. I think we really could have done with that Sancho sort of player. Obviously, we brought in Edison Cavani to score some goals, but we need some more firepower, I think. And then, obviously, alongside Harry Maguire, we could do with a bit more of a solid, regular partner. So, definitely think United should get the chequebook out in the last few days of the window.
So, United fans want the chequebook out once again, like they haven't got a good enough squad. It's like they weren't top of the league just now. You know, they want, let's just quick buy some more players and we just maybe get back up there.
He's in the woes, Flav. He's in the woes. Remember the remit.
I'm not having it. Is this, Paul? What do you think? Is this the best chance they've had for a title in a long time, Man United?
Yeah, but that doesn't mean they're going to win the title. That's just that happens to be the best chance for a while. No, I don't think so. To be honest, I think they've had the little moments in the sun, and they can go back to where they've been for the last 7 or 8 years. That'd be lovely.
Struggling to hear Paul there. I don't know if Flav, can you not hear Paul either?
I couldn't hear him, but I could see in his facial expressions just how.
Mime? Can we get a mime? Paul, if you're going to mime Man United's Man United's title chances, what would you go with? Yes, maybe not. Let's go to Robbie then. Robbie, how do you feel about Man United's chances at the moment, and the fact that they haven't, they've spent a certain amount of money, but not in sort of first team replacements. But do they need to do that?
No, they've got a very good squad. I mean, I think that's the thing that's been getting them out of jail in a lot of games. They've gone a goal down in a lot of games this season. And because of their squad depth, they're able to bring people like Cavani and people like that off the bench. And that's what's got them through. So I think they've got a chance. I don't think they're going to win it, though. I mean, after playing them at the weekend, I kind of agree with what Roy Keane said about them. They look a bit frightened. You know, I mean, against us, they didn't go for it. You know, we were missing our 3 best players, and they didn't really go for it. And I think that sort of style with Ollie, where he kind of, he's always on the counter attack. Maybe that's not going to be good enough to get him over the line, but they'll be there or thereabouts.
The thing is, I don't think they need to spend money, really. They're in a situation where they were clearly good enough to be top of the league. They could have had daylight between them. Drawing against Arsenal is no mean feat during the form that they've had in recent years. Just that losing to Sheffield United made what would have been an absolutely fantastic January a little bit bitter right at the end. Paul, I can see how happy that result made you feel.
Yeah, very, very happy indeed. Very, very happy indeed. I'm just glad. I'm glad that Sheffield United are able to contribute towards the Premier League season, and that they provided us with a little bit of joy. Then that's absolutely fine. Can I just say as well, a big shout out for the VT, the Rick Barnett stuff before, where clearly what I needed to do was say that the Snickers Protein is absolutely banging, because I've clearly been relegated for Flav from the main couch there. He's obviously taken a massive career step up. I need to make sure. Genuinely amazing, by the way. Genuinely amazing.
Thanks for that, Paul. Wonderful.
Loan moves all over the shop this transfer window. That's the big point. That's what happens to these things. But Joe, I guess the thing with Man United is that, yes, okay, they lose to Sheffield United, but a lot of the top teams have struggled against the lesser sides. Like, Liverpool. I saw a video you were doing, Paul, after the win at the weekend, and the relief at the frustration at dominating these games against the lesser sides but not being able to beat them. It's a problem that every team in the league has this year.
Yeah, I thought Mourinho actually spoke really well in the press conference before we played Spurs, and he talked about how every top team's going through these kind of spells at the minute where it only takes 2 bad results and you're the team that's in big trouble and you're the crisis club or what have you. So we've had it. Liverpool have had the glare of everyone on them, and particularly because we've had a couple of seasons of being really, really, really good. And there's a lot of people who naturally don't like Liverpool, and they must have been absolutely made up to see Liverpool looking a little bit in trouble and what have you. So no, the relief for us was unreal, but it rotates. We used to do this when we were out doing the Ball Street channel back in the day. We do the Monday shows, and there was always one big club who was there. Oh, you've got problems. You've got a player who's not scoring against big teams, or you've got problems at the back, or is your manager the right man for the job? Yada, yada, yada. And it's just been Liverpool for the last month. And yeah, now at the moment, you know, we're a game away from it being either Tottenham Hotspur again, or it could be a bad result for Manchester United and it's Man United again. So yeah, I mean, again, it's feeding into the transfer window. Everyone needs to feel like they're getting a win at the moment. Getting any transfer over the line is a big mood booster in addition to actually scoring goals on the pitch.
Yeah, massively. Right, we've got something really interesting here. Robbie, you're going to love this. So, Martin Odegaard is a player, of course, that you've signed, one of the big signings of the window. And we wanted to kind of sort of project what he might do. So we've simmed, using a certain game, what would happen to Martin Odegaard over the next 3 seasons. Robbie, would you like to find out?
Yeah. Let's find out.
Let's find out.
Season 1. Martin Odegaard had a stellar start to his Arsenal career. A competition best 6 assists from the Wonder Kid guided the Gunners to Europa League silverware. They needed to come back from behind to beat Borussia Mönchengladbach in the final, and it was Odegaard who inspired that comeback with a beautifully placed free kick on the hour mark. Mesut Ozil levelled the tie with 5 minutes remaining, and in stoppage time, Odegaard provided the assist for David Luiz to head home the winner. Odegaard played a deep-lying playmaker role for Arteta's side and built a strong relationship with fellow Arsenal youngster Reiss Nelson. Both players were catching the eye as Arsenal secured a 4th place with relative comfort. Odegaard spent 8 weeks out with sprained ligaments and fitness issues during the season, but still managed to start more than 40 games for the Gunners in Season 1. Season 2. Odegaard was a near ever-present figure for Arsenal in his 2nd season. Arteta altered his role to provide a more attacking function and started him in 36 of their 38 league games. It failed to reap great rewards though, as they managed to only secure a 6th place finish. In the FA Cup, Odegaard won player of the tournament, scoring 4 times in 5 appearances. They did, however, fall victim to a dogged Brighton display as the Seagulls clinched a 1-0 semi-final win. And there was little joy for Odegaard on the European stage either. His goal against Inter in the first knockout round wasn't enough to spur Arsenal on, and they were dumped out of the competition on away goals. During the season, Arteta broke Arsenal's transfer record with a 75 million capture of Leipzig's Dani Olmo, but it was Man City who made the biggest impact. They splashed out on Harry Kane, Ruben Neves and Frank Kessié, but lost their golden boy as Phil Foden made the move to Chelsea. How would they replace their little magician? Season 3. 74 million of Manchester City's finest pounds were thrown at Arteta's Arsenal to secure the signature of Martin Odegaard. The move didn't go well for Arsenal, with just 2 wins from their opening 11 league games putting them rock bottom of the Premier League table, and saw both Mikel Arteta packing his bags and Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang demanding a transfer away from the club. The Gunners rallied following Arteta's dismissal, however, and put together an excellent end to the season to pit Burnley to 6th spot. Meanwhile, Odegaard starred for City, winning the Europa League again. He was one of the star performers in the competition, encapsulating that form with a solid display in their 1-0 final win over Atalanta. So, 2 Europa League titles and a big money move for Odegaard, but how did you rate his spell in England?
So, Robbie, just to underline that was Odegaard winning the Europa League with Arsenal, but then leaving for Manchester City in Season 3.
Yeah, well, I know it's fake because Man City winning the Europa League, that's definitely fake.
What, the bit him leaving Arsenal for Man City, you believe could be true, though?
No, that's what I said. No. The whole thing, I was thinking that could happen, but then with Man City in the Europa League, that ain't going to happen. So I know it's all fake. No, listen, we're also in a good place when it comes now to signing players. They're starting to look at the right profile of players when they're signing them. We've done some terrible business over recent years, but I think now that they're starting to make some good signings. The signing of Gabriel in the summer, that was a very good signing. You know what I mean? And we're looking at younger players now, younger up-and-coming players. So, no, Odegaard's going to be an Arsenal player, don't worry. Unless maybe a swap with Phil Foden, we consider that.
You'd consider that one. Well, I guess in terms of the details of the deal, it is a loan, isn't it? He's not yours just yet. So are you concerned in any way, firstly, over the fact that he might come in and if he does well, then he might get poached by someone else?
Well, I'm sort of looking on it that if he comes in and he does very well, I reckon he'll stay at Arsenal. I don't think he'll go. There's no option to buy him a deal. But I just feel that, he was on loan last year at Real Sociedad from Real Madrid. He was supposed to be a 2-year loan deal. And then Real Madrid bought him back early because he did so well. And then he didn't get a game. So that's going to be in his mind. So if he comes to Arsenal and he does well, he might be thinking to himself, you know what? Last time I went back, I didn't get a game. I want to stay here. I'm at a big club. You know what I mean? I'm around some very, very good players. The manager believes in me. And he might want to stay. And, Norwegians like the Premier League. It's the biggest watch league in Norway. So I think if he comes in, he has a good time of it. I really do think, Arsenal might be able to negotiate a deal for him to stay. If you put on top of that the fact that, Real Madrid, they're a bit short of money at the moment, believe it or not. And they have so many midfielders. Hazard, Casemiro, Toni Kroos, Modric, So I'm really hopeful that he can have a good time of it and that he actually stays at Arsenal.
Yeah,
well, I think, but the situation we've got with Real Madrid is that Odegaard is obviously a class player, and then you've got the same situation at Reguilon at Spurs where they have a buyback clause. It seems like they understand that they've got these quality players on the periphery of their squad, but it's just one man in Zidane who's sort of blocking their route to the first team as it stands. Zidane isn't going to be there forever. I think they will end up reassessing these players and whether or not they can contribute something. But there's no reason why he wouldn't rejoin Arsenal next season on loan while they wait and see what happens with Zidane. By the same token, buy back Reguilon at Tottenham and perhaps loan him out again just to see what happens with Zidane. But I agree. I hate to say it. I think Odegaard's an absolutely fantastic signing for Arsenal, even if it is just a 6-month loan deal.
Yeah, listen, you can't. It's a great deal for us. We have been lacking that creative player, although in recent games, Emile Smith-Rowe's come in and has been absolutely exceptional. But now with Odegaard coming in, the two of them can push each other, and it's a 6-month deal. Yeah. If it doesn't work out, we send him back. If it does work out, we try and sign him. And I just don't think Real Madrid are in a great position at the moment when it comes to their financing. So we're never going to have a better chance to sign a player like Odegaard if he comes and does well.
Yeah, the thing is, though, Robbie, if you have Smith-Rowe, sorry, mate, if you have Smith-Rowe in there and he establishes himself as your number 10, they're not going to then splash 60, 70 million on Odegaard if he has an incredible season in Premier League. Perhaps that money would be spent elsewhere. But the signs are promising for Arsenal.
Do you want both?
They're both in the same position.
Yeah, I'd love to have both. And, you look at how thick and fast games are coming. I mean, we've got a game tomorrow night against Wolves. Now, to me, I think Odegaard could start that game because, Smith-Rowe run himself into the ground on Saturday. There's so many games. Odegaard's going to get a lot of game time. And as I sort of said earlier, you need strength in depth. That's what's been helping United this season. United have got strength in depth. They're able to bring top quality players off the bench. I mean, even at the weekend, they were able to bring on like Martial and players like that. We're bringing on like Eddie Nketiah. So, it's strength in depth is important. And if you've got Odegaard and Smith-Rowe, two really young players, Smith-Rowe's 20, Odegaard's 22, that is brilliant for a club like Arsenal, and that's brilliant for the future of Arsenal. So I'm hopeful that Odegaard's going to come. Listen, we haven't seen him play a full 90 minutes yet, and there's players that go on loan and it doesn't work out for them. But I'm hoping that he can have a good loan. He did when he went to Sociedad. It's going to be different in the Premier League, obviously. And if he has a good loan, then hopefully we can sign him because we do need a creative player. That's been one of the things we've been lacking all season at Arsenal, especially with Mesut Ozil leaving now as well. So, I'm really, really pleased with that signing. It made so much sense. And I do hear what you're saying about Zidane, but I still look on it and I say the financial problems that Real Madrid are in, and also the fact that they still got so many players who can play in that position. It will still be difficult for him if he goes back. He's not going to start. So, you know, I'm just hopeful that he can have a great season from now to because I remember when we bought in Denis Suarez from Barcelona and he absolutely bombed. You know,
that's it.
So let's hope Odegaard.
In transfer folklore, there's names, aren't they, that they don't even know they're going to be a sort of a name that's referred to down the line as one that doesn't work out. But Denis Suarez feels like he's one that's definitely happened. The one point that I would make about the Smith Rowe and Odegaard thing is the fact that often we're all very blinkered in this game, the last game, and the next game. What you got to remember with Arsenal is the Europa League, you know, is coming back, and so you're going to burn out players if you've got all these games to play and the Europa League. And one thing Odegaard does, as we've just seen in the VT, is he wins Europa Leagues. So you've got to be excited about that.
Well, listen, if he can win the Europa League for us this season, that'd be fantastic because that would get us back into the Champions League. So listen, you need the squad. You need the squad, and this pandemic has shown more than anything. I mean, there's been so many games, and they're so close together. You know that you need a good squad, and that's why the teams that have got very good squads are doing so well. You look at City, how they've just been able to. All of a sudden, when all those games started coming thick and fast around Christmas, all of a sudden City just emerged from their bad spell, and now they're just shot right up to the top of the table. So a good squad is so important, and Odegaard, I hope he's going to add to that. You know.
Yeah. I guess final one, just quickly, I guess, is Arteta. You know, with that dip, and it was quite a heavy dip for him to come out the other side of it. How are you feeling about Arteta now?
I'm feeling good about him. I mean, he showed a lot of character to come through that spell because there were a lot of people calling for his head. You know, they were very upset. You know, Arsenal fans with. It wasn't just the actual bad patch, but with the style of football in that patch was very bad. You know, I mean, because we weren't creating nothing. That was what the big problem. Just a lack of creativity, and then he literally turned to the youngsters in Smith Rowe, Saka, and they have been the ones that have led the turnaround. And I like the way he's moved out all the deadwood in this transfer window. And all of a sudden now he's got a young, hungry team where they're all playing for him. And, we're putting in some very good performances and we're moving up the table. And who knows in this season, I mean, if you would have said to me, Arsenal could get into the top 6, let alone top 4 before Christmas, say at the start of December, I would have said no chance. I would say, we're mid-table at best. But now all of a sudden, you're looking at the table, we're like, if we win our game tomorrow, we go above Spurs and we go above Chelsea. I know they'd have a game in hand, but we go above them. And a few weeks ago, those two teams, people were saying they're going to win the league. So, we're moving up the table nicely, but we've got to keep the run of games going together. But Arteta, I'm glad that they stuck with him because even me at one time, I was thinking, if he doesn't start getting a couple of wins under his belt, we're going to have to make a change because we're going into January. We can't keep going with all these losses. But I'm glad now that the board didn't listen to the noise. They stuck with him. And certainly, I don't think we're going to see the best of him till next season when he's really got rid of a lot of he's got rid of a lot of the players he wanted to get rid of. But then next season comes, say, the summer when he's able to bring in his players, that's when he'll really be judged. But at the moment, I'm pleased with what I'm seeing with him. And, I'm glad. I mean, my brother and me was having the argument because he wanted Mourinho at one stage. And I was like, I'd never wanted Mourinho, man. I was like, let him go Tottenham.
Stop.
I don't like that style of football. And now I'm hearing all the Tottenham fans in meltdown. I mean, I haven't spoken to Flav for a while, but I don't know what he thinks of Mourinho. But, the style of football that they're playing, I'm glad we ain't got that style. I'm glad that we went with Arteta as a young, hungry manager and not with a dinosaur, right? So,
Just snuck that in at the end, didn't he? That was glorious.
Yeah, especially when we have to move on. It's like nicely played there, Robbie.
No, you don't have to move on. I wanted to get your thoughts on that, Flav.
Don't mind your own business. That doesn't concern you.
That doesn't concern you, Robbie.
Very quickly, I think there are a lot of worried Spurs fans out there. Yes, the style of play isn't incredible. But this season's been very weird, and there's been lots of chopping and changing of form. And like you said, Arsenal's play was pragmatic in the most extreme, just 7 or 8 games ago. So fingers crossed it all works out for Spurs. If it doesn't, just get another manager one day, wouldn't we? So just another big cycle of football. Next, get another one. Next.
Exactly. Robbie, it's great to chat to you, mate. It's been too long.
No, pleasure.
It's lovely to see you
always,
two
mate.
chatting away as well. It's always
Nice seeing you, Rob.
I miss Flav, man. What he said there, that just reminded me. I was like, that's Flav. Mind your own business. I love that. That's what me and him used to have to back and forth every day. Love it.
Yeah, I loved it. It was amazing.
Right, Robbie, we know you're a busy man, but we're going to be chatting to Pippa soon as well from AFTV. So we'll still have that Arsenal player there to chat to us. Cheers, Robbie. Thank you so much. He is the best. He is the best. Just it felt very nice and calm. And then Samir Nasri got you. Done.
Yeah, I wasn't surprised it was coming. I just thought maybe this is. I'm in a position where I can't defend myself currently. So it is what it is.
Yeah,
whatever. Let's go on something a bit more light-hearted, James.
Let's do that. What about we need to get something going here. We need every deadline day stream needs something a little bit different to allow us to stand apart from the rest of the crowd. Flav, have you any ideas?
Yes. Oh well, how about we could get an actual Premier League? No. Well, let's walk before we can run. An actual footballer to crash the stream. I mean, maybe we could do that, James. Who's better than an actual footballer to tell you not to worry about the transfer window?
Exactly, and what's that phrase? 6 degrees of separation.
Everybody knows someone within six degrees.
6 degrees, exactly. So what we want is we're going to need you guys. I think hopefully we can look into our contact books and see who we can get on the stream. That's the dream. Who can we get on the stream? So you guys, let us know in the chat. Probably more importantly,
some of you
on
must
Twitter,
know someone.
You've got to know someone. We want the best 6 degrees of separation of someone that you know, and who's the highest. Does anyone know through 6 degrees of separation Lionel Messi, and can you use that to get him on the stream tonight, or whoever it could be? Who can we get? That's the dream.
Look, start thinking now, because what I'm a bit worried about right here, James, is that they're sitting here, they're watching this stream, they're enjoying themselves. Of course they are. Why wouldn't they be enjoying themselves? They're not putting the work in right now. I need you to think. Have a good think. Look in your diary. Look in your phone book. Who do you know who knows someone who knows someone who knows someone who knows someone who knows Lionel Messi? And then once you've come to that decision, contact us.
Once played with Raheem Sterling, something like that.
Yeah,
get in touch.
You've all got it in you. You're just not trying hard enough.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah, all of you, just take a second and think about what you're contributing to this transfer deadline day stream, please. Forever,
I'm working.
It's been the
You're working, Jim.
Oh, yeah, exactly. What are these headphones on just because it's quite cold up here? Yes, slightly, but also because I'm working. Is it work? Not really.
These are not a fashion statement.
This is not a fashion statement. The important thing is get involved, guys. Who do you know through 6 degrees of separation? Let us know on Twitter using the hashtag _fanline. Jack will be reading them out at some stage. Now, we've got a lovely little piece here from Nini FC, who's from Blue Lions TV, sorry. Big Chelsea fan, and he's telling us
Can I just, before you do, hasn't he got the voice of pure silk?
Yes, pure silk.
Enjoy.
Yeah, exactly. Enjoy. This is Nini from Blue Lions TV giving us his 2 dream Chelsea signings.
Now, 2 players that I would sell and 2 players I'd sign. The 2 guys I'd sell, it would have to be Jorginho and Rudiger. Now, don't get me wrong. These 2 players are great in their own right. Jorginho's short passing game and his interception ability, his reading of the game is very high. Very, very high. And with Rudiger, he's a great ball-playing defender. However, when I look at Jorginho, right now he's 29 years old. And at times, he has shown that he does struggle with the physicality aspect in the Premier League. And when I look at Rudiger too, I feel like sometimes he does struggle in the air. And one thing you definitely need to have for a top 4 team in the Premier League is a Colossus at the back that is going to win every single aerial ball. And I just feel like on the market right now, there are better solutions, younger ones. And when you look at the players we've signed in the past few windows, especially in the last summer one, it does feel like the club are looking to improve the entire team by turning to the market right now. So the 2 players that I would sign as replacements, I would go for Marquinhos and I would go for Upamecano too. So starting with Upamecano, I feel like right now he's one of the best ball-playing young defenders in Europe. There's a reason why Bayern Munich are desperate to sign him. There's a reason why so many big teams have been looking at him. And I feel like we have an advantage in the sense that we've got Tuchel. We have some of the best young German players signed too. And I feel like right now, we could offer Upamecano something that he might not get with the other teams. And with how the guy plays, his ball-playing ability, his defensive game, his aerial game, he has all the attributes to really go on and become an even better defender. So for me, sign this guy at all costs. And for my second player, I would sign Marquinhos from Paris Saint-Germain. Now that we've got Tuchel, it does feel like, is there a possibility now that Tuchel can bring in his former key man, the former heart of the team, and Marquinhos? Because Marquinhos, now he's playing in midfield. It makes him an even better player to sign right now, because essentially you're getting a 2-in-1 player. A guy that can play as a DM, a guy that can play at the back as well. You know, his interceptions, his ball playing. I mean, the guy is a world-class player. And I think right now, we need that type of world-class ability. So for me, my 2 players I'm bringing in, Marquinhos and Upamecano. And the 2 players I'm selling, Jorginho and Rudiger too.
God, don't we feel nice and cozy now? And everyone nice and cozy and warm. We're all so cozy. Right. What a bit. I tell you what, I needed that. I needed that. You just heard the voice of Pippa. I needed that. Robbie got a little bit flashed, didn't he? Now he's gone. Got rid of him. Don't need Robbie anymore. We couldn't upgrade another member of AFTV. Pippa, how are you doing?
I'm good, thanks. How are you? I was just listening to that. I was thinking he could read a bedtime story. So soothing.
Oh,
so
no,
good.
It's,
yeah. Someone in the chat was just saying, someone just in the chat, Ped Pajak was saying that it's less silk, more velvet. Yeah, he's got there's a career there in ASMR for sure for him, Nini, if you are watching right now. So he said he wanted Upamecano and Marquinhos as a QPR fan. Part of me saying, well, yeah, we'd all love those kind of players. How the other half live. But it looks like those might not get done today. Sorry, I'm allowed the odd outburst. It's got 4 hours of this. We've got ourselves a big debate now. We need to talk. We need to talk about top 4 because Pippa. This is a conversation that we probably would have had someone else in from another club. But Arsenal are flying at the moment. Is top 4 achievable for Arsenal? Yeah.
I don't think so, you know. I mean, it's very possible. Where if you look at the teams that are in from 4th to 7th, or the teams that are above us, they're pretty much on the same points. And we're about 3 or 4 points off top 4. It's possible. But there's a lot of tough fixtures coming up for Arsenal. And I think Arsenal fans are forgetting that. And I think other fans are forgetting that there are tough games to come. And it's not going to be an easy one. Yes, we had a really good January. Everyone's saying, oh, I'm beating January. But it's West Brom, you know. No offense to West Brom and other teams that we played. But I just don't think it's going to be an easy one. There's Aston Villa are flying. West Ham are flying. Those are teams that are flying at the moment.
Pippa,
what are the key
Pippa's sorry, but Pippa, you can hear is scarred by early season form. She's scarred. This is what this is about. She's protecting herself. That's what it is. I get it.
You have to, because you can't get too excited. I mean, you're a Tottenham fan, Flav. Everyone got excited. Manchester United fans got excited. Liverpool fans were excited. Everyone's had a fall from grace, so we can't get excited.
Well, dream with me for a second, then, Pippa. If you were to get top 4, what are going to be the key components for Arsenal to get in the top 4? You said it can be done.
Yeah, it can be done. So I think it's all down to fitness, because I think we definitely have a good squad. We brought in a great midfielder in Odegaard. I think though we need to definitely get cover for left back, because like I said, it's down to fitness. Tierney, from the moment he joined, was pretty much injury prone, and he's missed quite a few games, and it looks like it will go that way for the rest of the season, depending on what his injury is. We need that squad depth, and then there's players that are young players that are in that squad depth type of rotation that are looking to be loaned out this January or gone in the summer potentially, like Ainsley Maitland-Niles. Reece Nelson, Joe Willock. These are squad players that we need, because when these injuries and players start dropping form, we need midfielders to come in. We need wingers to play, because Willian's not really doing much. But I think we definitely need another forward. We need another forward.
Still time.
No one's mentioned that. No one's mentioned that, and I think we do need a forward, because Lacazette's on what, last year, going into his last year.
Paul, what do you make of Arsenal's top 4 credentials?
Look, I look at the next 3 games. Wolves, Villa, and Leeds. I get exactly where Pip is coming from there. It's hard to want to put yourself out there. It's hard to want to get your heart broken when you've had it broken so many times. But I say you've got to love again. If you can't get behind your football team, what's the point? And I get it, because you've got to. I mean, literally, they're there. All of those games, Arsenal should have. I don't think it's ridiculous to expect. It might not happen, but to expect Arsenal could come away with 9 points from that. I mean, like, Wolves are having a real struggle. Villa are kind of starting to realise that it takes a lot to continue that form with such little sort of squad depth as well. And Leeds, you never know what Leeds do yet. I actually probably would actually back Leeds to get something against Arsenal, to be fair. But they're all games that if Arsenal want to finish in European places, if they want to finish in top 4, they should be looking at that squad, should be looking at that and going, great. You'd have all them club badges stuck on the mirror in the changing rooms, you know what I mean? And Arteta's scrunching them up and, and telling them in his tight fist and going like, go on, doing it, fixing his perfect hair and then sending them all out into battle. I think Arsenal have got a chance because they have. When you've got goal scorers, which they have in Lacazette and Aubameyang, of course, then I think anything's possible. And the fact that I quite like the approach. I think some of the players that they let go, I've looked at and gone, they're decent, but he's clearly got the core of something there, hasn't he, Arteta? He's clearly decided, I'm just going to work with a bunch of players I feel I can best work with. Good luck to him. I mean, God knows, it worked for Chelsea last season, didn't it? So, every chance of Arsenal to pick things up again. It's a long season.
Yeah, I think with Arteta, he is that figure. Like Klopp was that guy, and it took a second for Liverpool as a playing squad to almost catch up with him. I get the same feeling with Arteta, that he has that strength of conviction and leadership, that it is one where like the squad almost needs to catch up with him. One player who's probably not going to.
It worked for Pep Guardiola. It worked for Pep Guardiola. That's all he's saying over and again. They go, I'm not sure about this. But Pep Guardiola said that this is a really good way to play. So shut up. What he's won.
Yeah, exactly. They've got Kevin De Bruyne. Anyway, Ainsley Maitland-Niles is a midfielder who's. It looks like he's made a sort of last-minute move to West Brom. Now, Pippa, you've already had a go at West Brom in this stream, so just be careful.
No,
but do you think that's a good move for him?
Yeah, I think it's a good move for him. It's funny that you called him with all respect, you got to put all respect in there. I mean, you called him a midfielder, but that's where he definitely wants to play. But I don't know where West Brom, where the breakdown went, because he's meant to be going to Southampton. I think obviously he wants to play midfield, and they said, well, we want a left back because they've let go of some key players there. But I just think he needs this game time. We all know he needs it. He broke into got the England call up last year. He's still quite young, and he hasn't done nothing exciting yet. Hi, Paul.
The action cam on Paul there was slightly underwhelming, I'll be honest. We went for it. So
but yeah, I think he needs that time.
Yeah. The weird thing with Maitland-Niles is the fact that he wants to play midfield, and then there's this other idea, like you just said, about being in the England squad. But he's not going to get in the England squad as a midfielder. He's going to get in the England squad as a fullback. So that feels a little bit strange for him to exactly.
Eric Dyer played midfield for England, James. Eric Dyer has played midfield for England.
What a good job he did.
Yeah, remember that free kick against Russia? It was glorious.
Absolutely.
Robbie, we were chatting to Robbie about another signing that you've made, about Odegaard. What are your opinions on that one? Is he the Messiah?
I don't know if you can tell yet, but I don't like to get too excited about things. But he looks good from what I've seen in training. Like I don't like to get.
You're literally the only one on AFTV that doesn't get excited about everything in one way or another.
I can't be too reactionary, because one minute I'll be like, yes, this is the signing. We've got the replacement for Ozil. He's our new number 10. And then, he turns into, like Robbie said, Dennis Suarez. So you just don't know. Like, Dennis Suarez came from a big club, couldn't fit into that 11. Odegaard's come from a really big club, Real Madrid, and he's fitting into this 11 already. Got some minutes against Manchester United. he looks good for the first minute, but then you kind of forgot about him because you're concentrating on other areas of the game. He kind of disappeared for me. But it's his first appearance. In the training videos, though, what they released on social media, looks amazing. Looks absolutely incredible.
Good,
so hopefully, they're always good. So hopefully we can see that on the pitch.
The challenge they've got is with Arsenal and trying to get into the top four is how quality some of these squads are around them. The difficulty is the same one that faces Tottenham, is that there's only one place left because Liverpool, Manchester United and Man City look sort of stitched in to get to that top four. And then there are literally 5 other really quality sides that need that.
He's like,
no?
He's like, no.
2 teams. Are we playing charades?
Who's the 2 teams?
No, I'm just saying. I think it's very optimistic. I'll say it's fine. I need to stop digging on Man United. I'm just quite enjoying it at the moment. It's fine. Carry on.
Oh, okay.
Right. But you imagine, like you said, Villa, Leeds could come, but defense is too weak. But yeah, Arsenal need to continue this. No, yeah, I mean, like maybe top 6. But there's so many. There's so many good teams trying to get into this one position left in the top 4 that just it's going to take some run, and I'm pretty sure Arsenal don't have it in them. I'm sorry.
Thanks for that.
Spurs might, though.
I mean,
Spurs might.
No, I don't know about. I just think it's all gone down. It's gone downhill already. The moment Mourinho has the dressing room array, I heard Aurier left the ground the other day. The moment stuff like that starts happening, the whole thing goes.
He doesn't live there. He had to eventually.
Yeah.
No, but he left at half time. He left at half time.
He's busy. He needs to be somewhere. It's not a problem.
Yeah. Paul. When we talk about this top 4, like you're saying, if there is this one space, let's go with what Flav's saying there, because at the moment you've got Leicester City on 39 points, in 5th West Ham with 35, Spurs with 33 in 6th, and then Liverpool 40, 41 Man United and Man City 44. Out of those teams directly below you, who's impressed you the most out of the likes of Leicester, West Ham, Spurs and Chelsea? Who do you look at? And go,
that's really interesting, actually. I must admit, I had a lot of time for Chelsea, least of all because they basically won Liverpool the title last season, which was great. But no, so I'm a bit surprised. It wouldn't surprise. They've got the squad depth. I think of the other teams that aren't Liverpool and Man United, who are, look, let's be honest, the sort of the favourite, City favourite, Liverpool probably number 2. I think United and Chelsea have got the two teams with the best squads. They've got so many players, so much talent in depth there. Beyond that, it's mad, isn't it? It's just a crazy season, and it'd be a bit weird to kind of nail it. Leicester should be there because another season under Brendan Rodgers, having that continuity. He's a good manager. He's got good players. It should be Leicester. And it should be Spurs, to be fair, perfectly honest. Again, they've got good team, they've got good players. The lack of Kane's going to be a bit of a problem, but that's up to Vinicius to step up, really, isn't it? So I'll be honest, everyone's just been up and down. It's so hard. My general feeling is I think once the European games come back, I think we'll start to see things sort of level out again. And it's whether there's a team in there that either goes out early in those competitions or maybe isn't quite as burdened by it, that makes a real last minute push. But my overriding feeling is every team is going to collapse with 6 weeks left to go in the season, and it's just going to be like I always refer to it like the end of Disney Cars.
That's going to be great.
Yeah. The end of Disney Cars when it's two best tyres crawling towards the finish line, sticking a tongue out to try and get it on the Premier League title is probably how it's going to end.
Like at the end of a triathlon when they're starting to struggle, then you'll go a bit wobbly. It's going to be like that. Okay, I can't wait.
Yeah, it's going to be absolutely fantastic. So many games, it's unprecedented, and to add to that, there's a massive international competition at the end as well. So it's literally going to be non-stop.
Non-stop.
Yeah, super tired. So I tell you what. Okay, pick one for me, Paul and Pippa. Pick one out of say we go Man City, Man United, Liverpool. Pick one. Pick the fourth person. Fourth team. Sorry.
I think it's going to be one that we least expect because although you said who did you say just there? Man United, City, and Liverpool.
So we say City, Liverpool, Man United are the first 3.
Okay, yeah, I think it will be someone we least expect because although you said that United have the better squad, I think the team that haven't let their guard down have been flying, have been West Ham, and I think they might shock everyone. and now they've got some reinforcements. I mean, what crazier things have happened. It could be Leicester, but I think if West Ham carry on this form and they've added reinforcements like, you know, Jesse Lingard's proven in the Premier League as well, they could do something.
League.
Exactly, they haven't got the extra games.
Paul's not having it.
Yeah.
No, he's not.
I'll let Nicky throw me naked into that canal outside their stadium if West Ham finish in top 4 this season.
I was going to say that's another story for another time.
Yeah. I mean, he could do it to me if he really wanted to. Let's be honest. He's a big fella. He's lovely though. It should be.
Yeah, I don't think he would.
Nah. If Tuchel gets his feet under the table quickly, it should be Chelsea, because I think what we're going to see this season is, I think it's the combination of deep squad and good manager, which is still where I think Man United might come a little bit unstuck at some point. I think if they hit a tricky patch and the confidence goes, I don't know that. There's only so many times Solskjaer can say, "I've got Fergie on the phone here, lads. He's saying you need to press a little bit harder." You know what I mean? Like he's a bit of a one-trick pony in that regard. So it's a bit like Noel Edmonds calling the banker, and it's like, Noel, you're very good. You've got great acting skills, but there's no one on the other end of the line there, is there, mate? No, so I would go.
I would miss this channel.
I would go Chelsea. I would go Chelsea.
Okay, right. The guys have picked that final one. It's now time for all of the Ball Street favourites to pick one. We asked all our Ball Street favourites to tell us who has the highest ceiling between Mason Greenwood, Bukayo Saka, and Phil Foden. Let's see who they chose.
Mason Greenwood is the best natural finisher I've seen at United since Van Persie, and I would say the best natural finisher I've seen come through the academy.
Phil Foden, definitely. Because I think if Phil Foden leaves Man City because he's not getting enough options or game time, he'll go to another huge club.
I think it's Mason Greenwood, and I'm loath to say that because I don't really want a Manchester United player to have a really high ceiling. I'd like them all to have really low ceilings.
I think Phil Foden has the best career trajectory ahead of him, partly because he is at Manchester City and he is becoming an essential part of Pep Guardiola's project.
I really can't see past Phil Foden. I'm sorry, Saka. I'm sorry, Greenwood. You're both absolutely outstanding talents.
Carl Walker called him the best young player he's ever seen, including Harry Kane, bearing in mind they trained with each other when they were at Spurs.
Probably Phil Foden, to be honest with you, and there's a couple of reasons. I think he's had a little bit more experience maybe than the other two right now.
Phil Foden, I think, could be one of Manchester City's greatest players of all time. I think he's going to score 20 goals a season.
He managed to break into a Pep Guardiola Man City side that had all the riches in the world.
His goals, something that you don't even necessarily associate with him, but his goals have kept Pep Guardiola's team in the title hunt and ultimately rocketed them to the top of the league.
I think Saka's phenomenal. I'd have Saka at Liverpool all day long, but yeah, I think Greenwood is the next great centre forward in this country.
Strikers like Greenwood are rare, and I think if he can match that talent with the work and the consistency, he's going to go on to have one of the best careers an English striker will ever have in the Premier League.
I think Phil Foden is a one-man talisman. He's amazing. Phil Foden.
Left foot, right foot, headers, inside, outside. Greenwood has the ability to become a complete striker.
I think he's absolutely fantastic.
Saka, Greenwood, special talents as well, but for me, it's Phil Foden.
Welcome back to Deadline Day Live, powered by Snickers Protein. Everyone you saw in that VT will be on the show at some point tonight. It's going to be a cracker. We've already done an hour. Crazy.
Just like that. Just like that. You were in that video, Jim, and I was in that video. Both Ball Street royalty,
yes,
but we've also got a certain Chris Pajak on the line.
Chris Pajak
as well. That's right, isn't it? As well as Lauren Black from Redman TV.
That's it. Chris Pajak, Lauren Black, and Rory Jennings will be joining us later, a little bit later in this hour. It's going to be great. So we're going to be diving into a lot of Liverpool chat because, let's be honest, Flav, it'd be really strange if we had two members of Redmen TV and didn't talk about that. That'd be really odd, wouldn't it?
I think any bit of Ball Street content without Liverpool being mentioned regularly wouldn't be right.
Yes, exactly. We haven't spoken to Jack for far too long. Jack is in Social Corner. So hopefully we can have a chat with him now and find out what the big stories are. Because, of course, we've almost forgotten. This is Transfer Deadline Day, guys. things are going on. So, Jack, are you there, my friend?
I am, and it is deadline day, and things are happening, which is kind of great because there was a worry. There was a worry that nothing was going to happen today, wasn't it? It was just one of those real worries.
Always.
Cenk Tosun's joined Besiktas. That's a bit, he's gone back to Turkey. Juve Sami Khedira has returned to Germany with Hertha Berlin, and Liverpool have finally fully announced a centre back. They have signed Preston's Ben Davies. Now this is quite fun because Preston announced it by mistake. They've signed a replacement, Preston, and in the replacement copy they said he's taking the number 6 shirt vacated by Ben Davies' move to Liverpool, hadn't been completed by anyone, and they went back and then have now deleted it, and only in the last couple of minutes has the thing been announced by Liverpool. So that is now officially a done deal. Couple there that you mentioned that look close now. Pippa mentioned there, Joe Willock going out on loan to Newcastle. It looks like that's quite close. Ainsley Maitland-Niles to West Brom. That one looks close. And Josh Madger of Sunderland Till I Die fame signing for Fulham. So it looks like my beloved Fulham are going to be doing some business after all, which is good.
Let's get your response on that. How do you feel about that? You need some goals, don't you? So he could be perfect.
We need something. It's one of those weird ones where I'd quite like Alexander Mitrovic to actually play a little bit more football, to be honest. But Scott Parker seems to want a quick, pacey striker. John Mikel Seri's gone to Bordeaux on loan, so it looks like he's come in now. Madger's come in the other way, and he is a Fulham Academy product, I think, which is quite nice. Someone who's effectively coming home, and that's got to be good. So we'll take that from there.
Jack, what did you make of the Winston Reid deal? Because that isn't a player that you'd usually, that level of player that Brentford would usually pick up. They're looking for younger players, dropouts, players that have been released. And I get Winston Reid is a good centre-back and probably still decent in the Championship. What do you make of Brentford picking him up, the veteran centre-back?
Well, look, Brentford are close again, aren't they? And much as it's to my chagrin, and I imagine James is as well, it's one of those deals where last year they obviously got to the final hurdle and they bottled it a couple of times, not only in the playoff final, but also on the last day, there was opportunities for Brentford to go up automatically. And I think this is just them getting a little bit veteran leadership to try and see them over the final hurdle. And from that perspective, I guess it makes a lot of sense. Like you say, it's different to their usual business model, but I think they might be just adding the last pieces to try and get them over the line. There's all of these things happening, and we'll respond to pretty much anything. So don't forget to get your comments and tweets in on the Snickers Protein fan line using the hashtag fan line. I'm all over your bits and bobs on Twitter, so make sure you tweet, and we'll get into it.
Okay, right, guys.
We will talk about anything. We are easy.
So, if you want your bits and bobs dealt with by our boy JC, then you know what to do. Use the hashtag fanline, and we'll be talking about it next time we talk to JC. It's now time to talk about the Liverpool transfer window. This is going to be fascinating because I think earlier today we would have gone, okay, this could be quiet. There's going to be frustration here. Some of the guys might need to get onto the fan line themselves to deal with the woes of not signing a centre-back. But hopefully Chris Pajak and Lauren Black are here to join us right now. And they are! Wow, seamless. And it's been a lovely day. And look at that lovely smile from both Lauren and Chris. Chris, how are you feeling?
All good, mate. I mean, the fact that Ben Davies has just been announced, obviously 5 minutes ago or so, obviously that's a good thing for us at the moment. I started today thinking we'd sign one player, hoped that we'd sign two, but it does look like we might get Kabak over the line as well. So it's been an interesting couple of days. I wasn't expecting it, to be honest. Liverpool are normally a team that does the business early on in transfer windows, so I was a little bit surprised when, we sort of got to sort of the third, fourth day into January and we hadn't actually signed anybody. But, an injury to Fabinho and another injury to Joel Matip, and all of a sudden, Liverpool have had to be forced into a move for Ben Davies and Kabak. So looks like two decent signings right now for us.
Do you feel like it's Do you feel like it's the sort of hand's been forced in this last week or so, Lauren? Do you feel like this is the case? Because, like Chris just said there, normally, Liverpool are just so clever and so organised in terms of their transfer dealings. Do you think it is something? There he is. He's already laminated. I've already printed out and laminated. Do you feel like it is one of those where hopefully it does all work out. And I can understand the reasoning behind both of these signings, to be honest. But do you feel like it is something that as the mind has been changed over the last week or so?
Yeah, I definitely think so. I think I can agree with Chris. The last couple of transfer windows, we've got our business sort of done early. But this time around, it felt almost like you just weren't gonna sign anyone, and then all of a sudden, you get an injury to Fabinho, Matip goes off, and you're then relying on one of your best midfielders, Jordan Henderson, to do a job at centre back, and then relying on youngsters in Phillips and Reece Williams who haven't got that much first team full experience. So I think our hand's definitely been forced, but I think it's always been on the back of Klopp's mind and the club's mind that we did need to strengthen at centre back. But I think definitely with the current situation, especially in the last week or so, it definitely our hand has been forced.
Chris, tell us a bit about the Kabak signing. Should it get over the line? Because this isn't a player that is just it's not a reactionary signing. This is someone who's been scouted for far beyond this window. That's right, isn't it?
Yeah, I believe it was 18 months ago we started getting really interested in him. And excuse me, David Wagner, former Huddersfield manager, was it? Obviously one of Klopp's, I think he was Klopp's best man, or Klopp was his best man. They're like best mates and stuff. So he's actually said to Klopp it's a player that you should be looking at and stuff as well. So I think from having a couple of people tell him that, Kabak could be a player that Liverpool should move for, we've kind of got this sort of try before you buy deal, or that's what it looks like it's going to be right now. And I've heard a lot of people say, look, he's very Lovren-y and, getting down on this type of signing already, to be honest. And I find that quite surprising because, we were talking before and, one of the lads in the office was saying, like, he's a bit rash and he makes mistakes. I'm like, that's every 20-year-old defender in the Premier League, isn't it? There isn't a 20-year-old defender who doesn't make mistakes, who doesn't charge into things. And, for me, it's just about Liverpool getting a fairly cheap deal to get a lad that they've liked for 18 months over the line, have a look at him. And then it's not even an obligation to buy, it's an option to buy at the end of it. So it just seems like smart business, to be honest. And while everybody else has been sort of ducking and diving today, it feels like Michael Edwards has been playing 4D chess. I mean, he literally sold Mustafi to Schalke, and he never even owned Mustafi. Like, you know what I mean? How did he manage to do that? We're there going, right, we want Kabak, but we'll have a little look at Mustafi. He's not for us. We don't think he's good enough. Why don't you have Mustafi while we take your best defender? And they've gone, okay, yes, Michael. And they must be there and thinking to themselves afterwards, like head in the hands going, how have I just agreed to that? What did he say that made you do that? Like, this is the type of stuff that he just does on a regular basis. And you're like, I don't know how he does it. Like, we've talked and joked for ages about Liverpool building a statue to Michael Edwards. And if these two signings work out, and it's a big if, to be fair, because, Ben Davies, experienced player, 250 games under his belt, but not at the level that we probably want those experience games at. But if they turn out and Liverpool go on and sign someone, or we get a Premier League title at the end of this season, or a good strong finish towards the end of the season, then they've done their job, haven't they?
Yeah, I think generally as well, they're quite. You guys are quite smart with the age of the players that you buy, and even the Ben Davies one, who's someone who I believe is ready to make that step up. You've seen that so much in the Championship now. These players that come up, they are actually generally, Premier League quality. He's one where it might be a jump too far for him. You don't know just yet, but even if you then sell him in 18 months, you're still going to make some good money off him because he's going to be 26 and he plugs a gap right now. It'd be interesting to know what both you guys think about who starts now as the two centre-backs for Liverpool with these two signings coming in. What is the sort of pecking order? The idea in my mind would be that Williams and Phillips are maybe to the side a little bit because they want that little bit more experience out of Kabak and maybe Davies. But when it comes to those big games, how do you see the pecking order, Lauren?
It's interesting because I think Fabinho's definitely still regarded as the best centre-back we have right now. And obviously Henderson's done a really good job when he's got in that position, but you want him playing in midfield. So I think probably the centre-back pairing when Fabinho's back fit, he'll be there. And then Kabak will probably be the next in line for that. The thing with Ben Davies is, like you said, he's 250 games under his belt. He's proven in the Championship, but you're not quite sure of the step up in terms of going into the Premier League. And he might take to it like a duck takes to water, but you don't know. Whereas with Kabak, he's sort of proven himself in a really good league in the Bundesliga. He's been that little bit of a shining light for Schalke this season, even though they are sitting bottom of the table. So I think Fabinho will always be number one. It's nice to think of the idea that he may go back into midfield now that you've got two new centre-backs, but I don't quite see it pan out like that. I think Fabinho will always be number one for the remainder of this season.
Yeah,
I agree with
Fabinho.
Lauren, to be honest with you. Sorry, Flav.
Go on, Chris. No,
I agree with Lauren. I think she's called it spot on there, to be honest. I think Fabinho will be Liverpool's centre-half this season. Now, the interesting thing is obviously Ben Davies plays on the left side of a two-man defence, doesn't he? Of a centre-back partnership. And, Fabinho's tended to go over there. And then we've seen latterly Jordan Henderson move over there as well. So I wonder whether Fabinho's going to shift to the right centre-back position and then utilise the fact that Ben Davies has got a left foot. That should actually help us with, teams pressing us because... one of the things that having a left-sided centre-half does is it changes the angle of the pass, doesn't it? Because obviously they all curl it that way, and right-footers have to curl it that way, closer to the midfielders who are pressing. So actually, from a sort of fluid passing out from the back thing, having a left-footed, left-sided centre-half might actually open the game up for us a little bit more to get to the full-backs to then get into the midfield. But Lauren's right. I think we need Jordan in the middle of the park. What he gives to us. We lost Virgil van Dijk, obviously we lost Joe Gomez, but we actually lost a lot of what made us great going forwards as well by losing those two players, and having players drop a little bit deeper and maybe not trust what's over their shoulder quite as much. So I think for me, it was all about getting those lads back into where they perform, and hopefully then you'll see Liverpool start to really kick on and score more goals for having those lads back in the middle of the park.
One of the other sort of midfielder players who's been so crucial for you and so quality this season is Gini Wijnaldum, who still hasn't signed a contract. He obviously, being one of the bigger, so he's running to a position in his career where he's going to want to sign that last big contract. He wants a big contract. He wants to stay at Liverpool, and he wants a wage that's comparable to some other of your bigger stars. But Liverpool probably are within their rights to question whether or not they want to give him that massive contract. Well, how do you think that will play out, Chris, or Lauren, in fact?
Yeah, for me, I'd love to see Gini Wijnaldum stay at the football club. I think he's been absolutely brilliant for us. Whatever position he's asked to play, he does it brilliantly, and he's probably one of the underrated players of this Jurgen Klopp side. But Liverpool have a strict structure in place, and that's what got us to be league champions and champions of Europe a couple of years ago and everything. So they're not willing to break that, and I kind of get that from a business side of things. But I'm a fan. I just want the players who've done well to continue to do well, because I think there's a couple of years left in Wijnaldum at the top of his game. But all that being said, I totally understand it if Wijnaldum wants to move on, because it probably is the last big shot at a big contract for him. It also does feel like maybe this season Wijnaldum, I don't think, would have had quite as many games if it wasn't for the injury crisis. I think going into the season, Fabinho's your DM, Jordan Henderson's your captain, and you've just signed Thiago. I think that was probably Liverpool's favoured midfield three going into the season. The fact that Wijnaldum's played as many games as he has is testament to his ability, but it's also a testament to the fact that we've lost players and the midfielders have been moved and it's opened up space in the middle. So I do feel like we were phasing away slightly from Gini Wijnaldum. I don't like that because I think he's absolutely superb, but I kind of understand. And, you got Kurt Jones there as well, who's a young lad who I feel is being groomed to be that Wijnaldum role and be that sort of fourth midfielder, as it were, and a guy that can come in, who can break up play, but he can also play in the front foot, dribble past players and look to transition from midfield to defence. So, yeah, as I say, really, Wijnaldum's a player that I'd love Liverpool to keep around, but Liverpool will not break the budget for him, and they won't change the way they do contracts, because it might work this time, but it just breaks everything else, doesn't it?
Yeah. Okay, guys, thank you so much. Fascinating on what's been a pretty positive day for Liverpool, and could go and see them maybe going and retaining that title. We will, of course, find out as the season progresses. We are now going to go and talk to Jack once again to see how this Snickers Protein fan line is getting on. How's it going, Jack?
Yeah, it is buzzing again, James. And I think this time it's an old friend of the show for you. It's Jack Reeve. from Talk Norwich
Hey!
City, and he's got a couple of worries he wants to get onto.
So the big thing for Norwich City this January transfer window hasn't necessarily been about signing players, it's been about keeping key players. Now, Emi Buendia, Todd Cantwell, Timu Pukki and Tim Krul, Max Aarons included in that list, all came down with us and they were all linked away with moves in the summer. Max Aarons was linked with moves to Barcelona and Bayern Munich, Emi Buendia with moves as well. The big player that's been talked about in January, though, has been Emi Buendia. He has been linked with a big money move to Arsenal. So far, it hasn't happened. Will it happen on deadline day? Hopefully not. Arsenal are crying out for a creative midfielder as good as Emi Buendia. If Norwich can keep hold of him, I fully expect them to stay in the automatic promotion spot. If he leaves, it suddenly all changes. What do you guys think? Will Emi Buendia be staying at Norwich City or will he be leaving?
Jack, my love, don't worry. Not Jack C, Jack Reeve. Although Jack C also, don't worry, we've got you covered here, just in case you need to use the fan line as well. Interesting that with Norwich. I think, look, Buendia's he's going to be fine, isn't he, Jack C? Because I think all their stars are staying, and it looks like they could be going back into the Premier League. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. It was, I think, a worry earlier in the season if you were a Norwich fan, especially that first window. You know, it just seemed like everyone and their dog was after Buendia, and rightly so. He's brilliant, and he's been brilliant again in the Championship. But it's got to deadline day, and there doesn't seem to be huge amounts of interest. Now, this surprises me, but if I was a Norwich fan, I'd be over the moon, just be like quietly slip towards 11 o'clock, letting those seconds tick down. But it looks like it's going to be all right.
Yeah, massively. I think, Norwich are really, it's surprising. It's so surprising for them to be able to keep a hold of all of them. But now if they pop back up, I think it was the inexperience before. Now, if they come back up, that was. I think if I was looking at Norwich, I was thinking that is the dream for them. It's like, how many can you hold on to and then bring them up 2 years later? And now they're a team that they're demanding of themselves to stay up instead of just being happy to be there. So Jack Reeve, I think it's fine, mate. You're okay. Don't worry about it. Get yourself a Snickers Protein, okay, and enjoy it because you're going back up, I believe. Right, I'm really fascinated about this this next sim that we've got here, Flav, because we obviously looked at Martin Odegaard and his time, or possibly what it could be. We went back to the future, didn't we? We had a look using the video game and simmed what was going to happen to Odegaard and Arsenal. And we're about to chat to Rory. But before that, we're going to have a look at what could have happened if Declan Rice had actually gone to Chelsea. Would it have all worked out? Would Frank Lampard still be in a job? Let's find out.
Season 1. Declan Rice, Champions League winner. That's right, technically. Although he didn't actually feature in the final. Frank Lampard brought on a youth team star in Tino Anjorin to make the difference against Inter Milan, and the 19-year-old repaid his faith, scoring the winner in Europe's biggest showpiece. It was a difficult season for Rice personally. He failed to displace Kante, Kovacic and Mount in the centre midfield roles for Chelsea, and in fact, he only made 5 league starts under Lampard, with a further 15 coming from the bench. He did, however, start their final game of the season against Aston Villa and scored in a comfortable 5-0 win. Despite their European success, it was a disappointing domestic campaign for Frank Lampard's men as they finished 4th in the league, 14 points behind winners Man City. Season 2. Chelsea mounted more of a title challenge in Rice's second season, but a poor late run of form meant they eventually finished 11 points behind runaway back-to-back winners Manchester City. And City also ended Chelsea's European pursuits. Guardiola's men won the first leg and held on in the second to send Frank Lampard's side packing at the quarter-final stage in the Champions League. Rice again couldn't win over Lampard, although he bettered his 5 league starts from Season 1 with 9 in Season 2. His 3 assists and 1 goal in those 9 games failed to impress the gaffer, and his playing time was limited once more. Season 3. The signing of Adrien Rabiot looked to be the final straw for Declan Rice in his Chelsea career. The competition for places was mounting, with a number of signings joining the club and youth prospects Billy Gilmore and Tino Anjorin garnering more playing time. Rice did, however, manage to add to his collection of medals with an FA Cup victory. He remained an unused substitute once more in the final, however, with the signing of João Felix even seeing Kai Havertz move out of position into Rice's defensive midfield role. He continued to better his number of league starts though, with 16 in his third campaign. Their league charge saw them finish second, but they were 11 points behind Liverpool. But perhaps the tide was beginning to turn for the 24-year-old midfielder.
Flav, especially working, bud. You look like you're enjoying that. What's that?
Snickers, isn't it? Snickers protein. Oh, these are banging. I swear to God. I absolutely love them. I'm eating them responsibly, but it's hard. It's hard not to proper indulge.
And are you into the protein, Flav? Are you like pumping iron?
Big time.
I'm enjoying it. There's 30% more protein.
Yeah, and well,
what
more protein.
Rory, what are you wearing?
I'm at home.
Yeah,
What do you wear at home?
What? I was going to say, are you behind Rory? But then I'm slightly afraid you're going to show us. What, was it a nice shower? Was it a bath? What did you have?
No, at home. I naturally go for the comfort. If this was in a studio, I wouldn't be wearing it. I'm working from home.
Rory.
From home,
the biggest night of the
We're
year.
all working from home right now. This is a bit of a disrespect.
I'm surprised that you're not in a robe then.
Yeah, I am in my slippers.
Do you know what? I'm with Rory. I might change to my robe for the second part of the transfer deadline day live, powered by Snickers Protein. Yeah,
it's like the Oscars.
Start a new trend.
It's like the Oscars. 6 changes. Rory, how are you, mate?
Yes, I'm very well. How are you?
I'm good, bud. I'm good. Let's talk about Chelsea, because you just saw what would have happened if Declan Rice had have signed. If Frank Lampard had have got his way, what would have happened was Declan Rice wouldn't have played many games. However, Lampard would have kept his job and won a Champions League for Chelsea. So that's what could have been. But apparently there's a bit of talk about Rice staying. Well, Rice still going to Chelsea. Thoughts on that?
I've heard the contrary, actually. I think that it was very much a Chelsea Lampard signing rather than a Chelsea, irrespective of who the manager is, signing. And I think that West Ham United will feel very happy about the fact that Lampard's no longer at the helm, because it was a Lampard pursuit. It feels like he was very much a Lampard player. And I think that Chelsea may well have ended their interest there, which is a shame, because I think he's a brilliant football player. I really rate him highly. And I think he's exactly what Chelsea are lacking. You know, just that little bit of venom, little bit of spite and aggression in the midfield that you need.
He was the man that Frank Lampard wanted. Obviously, he's also good mates with Mason Mount, another player that we weren't sure whether or not he was going to immediately feature under Tuchel. Didn't start in his first game, but did in the second, if that's correct. What do you think of Tuchel's start? Are there positives there? He's certainly playing with a lot more possession. Well, what have you made of it so far, Rory?
Yeah, I thought the first game it was a 0-0 draw against Wolverhampton Wanderers. I thought it's slightly weird to not play Mason Mount in that game. Like, Mason Mount came on and ultimately was fantastic and made it impossible for him not to be selected in the second game. But it was a slightly weird team selection in the first game. There were also, Emerson Palmieri, Marcus Alonso were brought back into the fold, which was weird. Marcus Alonso started over Ben Chilwell in the win against Burnley. So he certainly put his own stamp on the team. But dropping Mason Mount felt very strange, because Mason Mount has been Chelsea's best player this season by a mile. And
you're not turning on him already, Rory, are you? You're not turning on Tuchel already?
No, not at all. No, not at all.
Sounds like it. Sounds like it.
No, you asked me about the team selection. I said it was weird team selection to drop the main man. But look, he obviously has my full support. We got a win the other night, which is big. Champions League qualification is now a necessity, and that starts Thursday night, mate.
Yeah. Well, I guess, here's the thing I think about the rotation. I wonder if it's part of kind of not Tuchel's master plan, but an initial plan to kind of go, let's get all the players going here, because you've got so much quality and depth. You're not hurting the team too much by swapping it about a bit now, to kind of almost give everyone a bit of an olive branch and go, that's not over, Alonso. It's not over. To kind of give you a chance to kind of then build it up a little bit. Do you think there's any truth in that?
Definitely. Yeah, I think that's exactly right. I think when a new manager comes in, it's important to give people an opportunity to play themselves back into the frame and back into consideration. Marcus Alonso is a good example here, because his career at Chelsea was effectively over whilst Frank Lampard was manager. Been very brave and also I think it's the correct decision. A new man comes in. You then give everybody a clean slate. Let's see what you can do. Play yourself into the team, and ultimately, it should give everybody a little bit of a boost. The only one that I disagreed with was dropping Mason Mount, because he is. I'd say he's probably him alongside Mendy and Thiago Silva. I would say they are the only real undroppables.
Yeah,
what about Kante's role then? He's nearly 30. Is the best form behind him, or do you still think he has a crucial role to play this season, Rory?
No, I think we go a bit crazy when we talk about age. Like, I thought Graham Souness was fairly spot on yesterday when he was talking about actually talking about Gareth Bale, but he said quite how impressive his own career got when he turned 30. And I think that could easily happen to N'Golo Kante. I don't necessarily, obviously, he's had a wonderful career and so many medals behind him, but there's no reason why he can't reach those heights again. And if you look at Chelsea's squad, I would say that N'Golo Kante is one of the few genuinely world-class players at the club at the moment.
Yeah, you would still put him in that bracket? You still put him world class? Because I think I know what you mean. There's a kind of like the look. You look at him and you go, okay, right. We always need a new storyline on him. Yeah, well, what is he 30 now? Okay, well, like maybe that's it, or like a couple of injuries, maybe that's it. I think that's
like what he
offers.
If you think about Kante at his peak, what he offers to that Chelsea midfield is, I mean, it's invaluable, because regardless of what you think about Kovacic, regardless of what you think about Jorginho, they are limited midfielders. Whereas with N'Golo Kante, there is no limit. There is no ceiling to how good he can be. So I think if you ask any Chelsea fan, and I mean, how impressive, let's get that other Chelsea fan back. What a voice. The dulcet tones, the housewife's favourite.
Dream, an absolute dream.
Mate, it was music. It was music.
Rory, I've subscribed to his channel. I can't bear hearing him talk about Chelsea. I'll hear him talk.
I am about to.
Do it.
It was soothing.
What
it was
a
calming.
voice. Rory, can I ask you about?
You don't want to talk about that anymore. Fair enough. I was enjoying that. It was like going out for like when you go into a massage parlour and they have that music playing. His voice could have been over that. I was loving it. Serenading.
Okay. I've never been in one of those, but I'm not sure. But yeah, Kai Havertz and Timo Werner are two players that, Lampard's end seem to be tied into their form. And one of Tuchel's very first jobs will get in that incredible potential, but huge transfer fees are involved in bringing those players in. So surely one of his main remits is going to be getting those two playing. And if he can, you've got two absolutely superb players at his disposal. What do you make of what he can do with those? Is Kai Havertz ready yet for the Premier League? And I know Timo Werner is, despite his form is out. I know you don't rate him too much, Rory, but there's, for me, a very quality player in there and someone who's ready for Premier League football. What do you make of him and what Tuchel can do?
Well, for me, there is a quality player in there as well, but we can only judge on what we've seen, right? So there's no point in me telling you how good I've seen him play for other clubs, or the brilliant goals I've seen him score for other clubs, or how good I think he can be in the future, because that's all irrelevant to the form that we have today. And I think that Tuchel obviously got the job primarily to one of the key remits that he would have been brought into Chelsea to do would be to sort out the form of Havertz and Werner, because the club have spent an awful lot of money on them. They need them to be playing well. There are two potential reasons why they weren't playing well under Lampard, right? One of the reasons is Frank Lampard. The other reason is they're not good enough football players, and therefore you start questioning recruitment, and therefore you have to start looking at who was responsible for that, who signed off on these checks, and that's not a question that people want to ask. So the answer has to be Frank Lampard wasn't right. But I thought that Timo Werner's, he played against who did we play? We played Burnley. I mean, he didn't look great again, did he? So Tuchel has his hands full trying to get the best out of them. But if he can, and I think he will, I think that we can end up qualifying for the Champions League next season.
I think that's it, isn't it? When Tuchel comes in, you're expecting. It's almost. It could always be to the detriment. You don't know, but you expect this bounce, and that's why when I come back to the idea of the rotation recently, I wonder if he's almost trying to ensure the bounce, if you know what I mean, by kind of making all those changes. I think what is going to be fascinating is that Werner played in several different positions for Chelsea in this, and Lampard did invest in trying to get the best out of him, I believe. So it's going to be interesting to see what Tuchel does differently to get the best out of him and to find a way to have Havertz in there as well. Do you see who leaves first out of these three, if you know what I mean? Is it one where, like, if Tuchel does well but struggles with those two, then you go, okay, this didn't work out, like Kepa didn't work out, like Morata didn't work out, and you move them on? Or do you think it really is, they've been very clear, they want these two to work, that it will be the other way around?
I think it's very difficult because the way that it's currently shaping up is that Kai Havertz isn't in our starting 11. He isn't in our best starting 11. I don't think many Chelsea fans would put him in it. I think our best midfield is probably Kante, Kovacic, Mount. I think those three are the best players. And I don't think that necessarily sits well with the club at the moment. So I think that potentially he's going to have to try and get them playing. But irrespective of how it goes, irrespective of how well it goes under Tuchel's stewardship, ultimately, he's going to do incredibly well to still be our manager in 18 months, isn't he? Because that's how it is at Chelsea. Like, irrespective. So in terms of, to answer your question directly, who leaves first? Tuchel leaves first. Even if he wins the Champions League, Tuchel leaves first because that's how it is at Chelsea. There is no time for anyone. And when you look at Frank Lampard, it feels like he was there, generally speaking, it feels like he was there for the blink of an eye, right? He was there for basically par. He was there for 18 months. That is about par for how long you last as Chelsea manager. I think it's the fifth longest. You know that. I think it's the fifth longest that a manager has lasted under the Abramovich in the Abramovich era. When you think about how many managers we've had in that era, Lampard actually did incredibly well. Like, to last 18 months is a major achievement under Abramovich.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing.
Thank you.
Sorry, I was just saying in the chat, people saying Rory in, so maybe Rory for the job, Flav, at some point. What do you think?
Yeah, I think Rory has the self-confidence to say almost anything and back himself. So yeah, I mean,
imagine that robe on the touchline. I'd love to see that.
Yeah,
I'd love to see that robe.
Rory, there is clothes underneath the robe, right? You're not just wearing a robe and nothing else.
No, there's shorts.
There's no clothes.
There's shorts, but there's top. I mean, nobody would wear a t-shirt under a robe. That'd be mental, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it's almost as mental as coming on transfer deadline day in a robe. Almost as mental as that.
You've asked me to do it from home. Why would you ask me to do it from home?
We're not arguing.
The robe
here,
is
Rory.
implied.
We're not arguing.
The robe is implied. If you say do it from home, the robe is implied.
We'll let you get back.
I absolutely love it, Rory.
Rory. Speaking of Frank Lampard, we were talking earlier, Flav, about the 6 degrees of separation.
Of course, I remember.
I made a couple of texts, bring someone in,
What do you
a couple
mean?
of people I know, and I've been able to get Frank involved.
What do you mean you've made a couple of texts? I mean, I really know we're talking about the 6 degrees of separation. That isn't 6 degrees, is it? A couple of texts, that's 2 degrees. If it was 2, what do you mean?
Well, I know a guy who knows a guy who knows Christine Bleakley, who knows Frank Lampard. And Frank Lampard, all being well, will be able to chat to us right now in our quest to find... We're looking to try and get an actual player on now. Now, Frank, we've just been... Hi, Frank. Thank you for joining us on Deadline Day Live, powered by Snickers. Rory, we've just had on there, big Chelsea fan. He was upset about you losing your job. How are you? What's your initial reaction to obviously losing your job? Are you okay?
Well, it's devastating. Of course, when you're a manager at Chelsea, the top club, of course, you have to lose your job like that. You don't expect to do it, but nothing really. I got a call from Roman. He said, "Look, 15 quid, get yourself off to Barbados with Christine." That's the way it works. So, of course, it's exciting. You get a few quid or whatever, but devastated.
I understand.
Really sorry to hear you lose your job, Frank. Roman did back you through the windows, though, didn't he?
Nah, not really. I think some of the players we brought in, I think obviously he never really listened to me. I said to him, get me 2 players. He'd always get me 7. And it was always very difficult. And I felt as though we only spent about 300 billion in our strike force. So I think he did back me when you think about it like that. But it was quite difficult. But he did back me.
I mean that's true. Once you lost a job, Were there, obviously we've got the Snickers fan line, Snickers Protein fan line, where people are giving us a call using that hashtag to get us to chat to them about the woes that they've got. Of course, you've had some football woes yourself, losing your job. Who did you call when it all happened, when it all went down?
Yeah, I think the players we had at Chelsea, there wasn't many players that I trusted. To be fair, there was a couple of players that we liked. I'd say 3 players. We had, Mount, Mason, and Mason Mount. So they're the only 3 players I could reach out to, really, because the rest of them, the season. But yeah, absolutely despised the rest of them. Yeah, hated the rest of them.
Sorry. So, Frank, it'll be good to know your feelings on Kepa during your time, because he didn't always pull through for you, did he?
No, he was. My decision to bring in a new goalkeeper. I mean, I always felt Kepa. He wasn't the greatest goalkeeper. He's a young goalkeeper. He's only 36 now, and of course, we had to give him patience and like that. But no hard feelings at the end. I went round the team and I went round and said goodbye to everyone. Went to give Kepa a high five, hit me straight in the face, because he can never connect with anything. It was quite difficult. But the players, it was always very difficult with certain players who you couldn't really get on with. And as I said before, Mason Mount didn't want to trust it really. So the season.
Poor Kepa. So look, you were so successful as a player, Frank.
Yeah.
Are you gutted you didn't get to lift a trophy as manager?
Yeah, I think you always want to win big trophies, and that was always what we wanted to do at Chelsea. But you've only got a couple of weeks to win them. I think Tuchel's under pressure. He hasn't won a trophy for 2 games, and I think he's under pressure. It's quite a difficult job, but it'd be nice to win. But hopefully I'll get a job soon. That's the way it is. But yeah, it was great. One couple of things as a player, but as a manager, you don't get the time. So the season I was on the phone sending you to Barbados for 15 million quid.
So Frank, some people say look, you should never really been given the Chelsea job. It was too soon for you. The time you had at Derby didn't prepare yourself for a job the size of Chelsea and the expectations of getting them and keeping them in the Champions League and potentially winning the Champions League. Do you feel that that's fair, that you were qualified enough, you had the experience?
Yeah, I think, obviously I've been at Derby County for 3 weeks. I felt that experience really helped me. You go to Chelsea and you've got players who, don't really trust in, but I've got a lot of coaching experience, and I felt as though we deserved a bit more, from the players. They should have done a lot more. And the chairman as well, he's got to back me as well. We talked about Rice, wanting to bring Rice in, and the only thing he offered me was an egg fried rice from the chippy. But it would have been nice to get Declan, so he would have been a good player. But yeah, I had the experience to go in there and get the job done. But in the end, you just don't get what you want. So the season, but yeah, it was gutted to not do it.
Now we were chatting at the start, talking about the fan line, but also importantly our dream of in this deadline day stream being able to get an actual player on, Frank. Who would you? Is there anyone that you could maybe help us out with? You could get on the call for us.
Yeah, a couple of players. I think the Chelsea players. I don't think any of them have picked the phone up, but of course, always got my favourite Mason. He'll pick the phone up, won't he? I think we all know that one. He's been on the phone 10 times today, so go on to that. So I'll get on the blower to Mason. Yeah, he'll be on later on. I'm sure he will. Yeah.
That'd be wonderful, Flav.
Would do. Remember to get your suggestions in #back on your game. Do you know how we can convince a player to join in on Zoom? And who should we contact? Who do you know out there?
Yeah, and thank you to Frank for joining us there. Absolutely brilliant. Hopefully, he can get on the blower to Mason Mount or Mason Mount and see if we can have a chat with us. That's the dream. That's what we're looking to do here. Oh dear, that was good.
Fantastic.
So, we're now going to talk Everton for a second, and we're going to hear from another Bull Street legend, Baz from Toffee TV. That's it. He's going to talk about 2 in, 2 out, 2 players he'd like to bring in to Everton, and 2 that he would like to see in this deadline day. Let's have a look.
So the 2 players I want out at Everton at the moment are Cenk Tosun, the Turkish striker, came in the January transfer window 3 years ago and just hasn't worked out for him. So I'd like to see him go out the door. And also probably John Joe Kenny. I think it's time for the lad to move on and get his career going. We thought he might be Seamus Coleman's successor at right back, but it's not really happened for him. And there's big interest from Burnley. So the two I'd want out are Tosun and Kenny. And the two players I want in at Everton are Leon Bailey from Bayer Leverkusen. I think fantastic talent. I think got the pace, can play right across the front three. Just exactly what Everton need at the moment. And Borussia Mönchengladbach midfielder Dennis Zakaria is another player I want in. I just think his energy in an Everton midfield with Alan and Abdoulaye Doucouré, I think it'd be perfect for our team at the moment. So 2 out, Tosun and Kenny, 2 in, Bailey and Zakaria.
Thank you, Baz from Toffee TV, who wanted John Joe Kenny and Tosun to get out of the football club, and both players have left. But he also wanted Leon Bailey and Dennis Zakaria in as well, which is probably a little bit more optimistic. We're bringing back Jack, who knows his onions. We're talking about both of these players. What do you think of that? Was that a little bit optimistic that Everton might, they may want him, but would they ever have a chance to sign them in this January or even in the summer?
I don't think so. It feels a little bit optimistic. Obviously, it's good that the 2 outs he wanted out are gone, but Dennis Zakaria played every game since returning from a knee injury in November for Gladbach. Gladbach are 1 point off the Champions League spots in the Bundesliga, and they're in the Champions League round of 16. United and Spurs both interested in Zakaria as well. And Leon Bailey at Leverkusen, 9 goals in 25 games, all comps this season. He's benefited massively from Kai Havertz's departure. And Leverkusen are 5th, also one spot off those Champions League spots. They've got a Europa League round of 32 tie. They cruise through their group in the Europa League. They look quite comfortable in that, and I think they're quite a decent outside bet for a little bit of silverware. So I would say that potentially, good as Don Carlo is at Everton, I don't think these two are going to go through.
Thanks for that, Jack. The expectations getting higher and higher at Everton. Chris, you work with the boys at Toffee TV. Have you seen a rise in their expectations? Jack, he's hinting at the fact that maybe those 2 signings were a bit ambitious, but Everton are an ambitious club. What do you think?
I think Everton have been brilliant this season, to be fair to them. I think you can see what Ancelotti's doing there. They finally get the teeth into something, can't they, as an Everton fan? And, they've got a manager who's probably the best manager that they've ever had in Carlo Ancelotti. I know Howard Kendall was their most successful manager of all time, but Ancelotti for me is on a different level to those type of guys. He's got a name. He can draw players in. He's using that little black book of his to get guys that he's already worked with and stuff before. And you just see what a couple of good players does for Everton at the moment. They've got a striker scoring goals, and I know he's going through a little bit of a sticky patch at the moment. But you know what, Everton are, what are they, 6 points behind 4th? And 2 games in hand, I think it is at the moment. So there's a good chance that they could break into certainly the top 4 if they keep going anyway.
I know that Chris, I know that you 100% don't believe what you just said, because you wouldn't be you wouldn't be nearly as kind to Everton if you were genuinely worried about them. Are you worried about Everton Football Club? Be honest. Are you worried about them?
No. But that doesn't mean that they can't break into the top 4 at the same time, Flav, because I don't like Everton are a huge rival of Liverpool's, but I don't think they're there yet. I don't think they're as good as Liverpool are. So for me, like, if Everton can give the other teams, Tottenham, Chelsea, a bloody nose, then I'm all for that. You know what I mean? Because they've got more of a track record of messing it up. So that's fine with me. But look, you've got to respect what they're doing as well. Like, you see what Carlo's done to the city and the fans and stuff like that. They're so much happier. It's just that Liverpool's just a nicer place to be when both clubs are performing, to be honest. And Everton are below us as well, so that helps. Like, if Everton were above us, I'd be angry right now, but they're not.
Yeah, fair enough, fair point. Yeah. Rory, let's talk Carlo, because I know you're a Carlo fan. One of the big success stories, obviously, James Rodriguez has come in and done brilliantly, but Calvert-Lewin has gone to a completely different level since Ancelotti's come in. Do you think that's solely down to him? And how impressive have you been by him?
Well, Calvert-Lewin has been outrageously good, isn't he? He's now one of the first people you think of when you start thinking of who's going to play up front for England. He is one of the first names that comes to mind. And I think, Carlo Ancelotti certainly deserves a lot of plaudits for that. Ancelotti won the double with Chelsea in 2010. And he's such a brilliant attacking coach. I think we scored over 100 goals that season. And the way that we played, it was glorious stuff. And like I say, marched us onto the double. So I think Calvert-Lewin has certainly benefited, or Calvert-Lewandowski, as we can call him, has benefited from playing under Ancelotti. And I thought it was great. Did you hear Ancelotti comparing Calvert-Lewin to Inzaghi? He said, I had Inzaghi, but Calvert-Lewin is a lot stronger. He's a lot faster. You think, gosh, that's got to be fantastic for somebody like Calvert-Lewin to hear because, well, Inzaghi was a geezer.
Was it Simone Inzaghi?
He was all right. He was all right. But you see, Ancelotti's saying exactly the right things that Calvert-Lewin needs to hear. Because I think people, because, he's come through at Everton, that he gets a level of... people think, his baseline is lower than if he was an Italian forward. And the reality is, this season, certainly in the first part of the season, he was the best striker in the land and should be in the England squad by rights. And when you're looking at other the sort of big six sides who are also lacking number nines, Chelsea being one, would Calvert-Lewin go to Chelsea and get a game? Surely a player of his quality could cope at Stamford Bridge.
Yeah, I don't think we're fairly well stocked up front. I mean, Tammy Abraham,
better than Abraham,
Olivier
though, right?
Giroud. I don't necessarily. He's different to Abraham, and obviously he's had a lot more chances, and he's scored a lot more goals. So it's very difficult to make a case against that. And look, I'm a big fan of Calvert-Lewin, and I think that he will go to the Euros with England. I think he is going to be on the plane. I think Bamford's in with a shout. Danny Ings is in with a shout. Callum Wilson is in with a shout. There's a lot. But Calvert-Lewin is probably the jewel in the crown amongst that. Certainly the beginning of this season, anyway.
Yeah, I mean, look, the top goal scorers this season, Calvert-Lewin's on 11, as is Bamford, as is Vardy, as is Fernandes. Son Heung-min is on 12. Kane's on 12 as well. And Salah up there with 15. Out of those strikers, it'd be interesting to see who will end up being your top three. Is the Salah one? Let's talk about Salah, Chris, because it's always so strange with him because he's so consistent, scores so many goals, but then you start to think he's having wobbles here and there. He hadn't scored for a couple of games before the West Ham game. What are your thoughts on Salah's season?
He's criminally underrated, to be honest with you. I truly believe that, and I don't know what it is and why people don't seem to sort of fall in love with Mo Salah, because he's consistently done it. 2 out of the last 3 seasons he's been the top scorer. A good chance that he could go and be top scorer again. Alan Shearer only got top scorer in the Premier League 3 times. Thierry Henry only did it 4 times. At the end of this season he might have the same amount of top scorers as Alan Shearer, and yet he's just not loved in the same way. And I think it's because he's a fairly greedy player. I think that's what, and there are times when he can frustrate you as a fan because you've seen him do the same thing over and over. But I've never seen a player for Liverpool certainly draw so much attention from sides. It's always he's getting crowded out with 2 or 3 players, and yet he still manages to get his goals, and he still manages to link up play really well. The other night he could have had a couple of assists for Sadio Mane, yet people don't think he ever plays a pass to the other forwards. He does, and he works dead hard for the team, and he's absolutely superb, game in, game out, and he's doing it from a left wing forward position. I just think he's criminally underrated, and he's the best striker in the league.
Do you mean underrated by everybody outside Liverpool? Because
even some
Real
Liverpool
Madrid,
fans, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, there's been talk about certain clubs coming in for Salah. The narrative around him this season has been about, potentially this is his last season. Even some Liverpool fans have suggested that this perhaps will be his last season at the club. What do you make of that talk? Where will he be playing next year, do you think?
I think he'll be playing at Liverpool again. I think he's still got things that he wants to win at Liverpool. I think Liverpool's a place where he can still go and achieve those sort of dreams. Now, I think it's a bit different to sort of maybe a South American player wanting to go for play to Barcelona or Real Madrid or something, because they all just seem to want to do that, don't they? Salah's got the attention of, Muslims all around the world, and he's got the weight of the world on his shoulders sometimes, and he's able to still do it and still be, such a great striker in the league. But I think what it is it's his age now, but he's in prime age. I think Liverpool will sell him for maximum value, but he's 28 years old. I don't see him or sell him till he's at least 30 to 31 probably, because you can still probably get good money for him at that age. He's just hit his prime. Like, we can get another 2 years, 3 years out of him and still sell him for big money.
Do you know what? Someone messaged me today actually saying, I'm sick of Salah not celebrating. I wonder if that's part of it. Like, he scores goals and then he doesn't go crazy, which is what good, great goal scorers do a lot of the time, which is probably a bit unfair on him.
Do you know what, Chris? Where does Salah rank now? Sort of, is he seen as a Liverpool great? You know the way that Ian St. John, Roger Hunt, Ian Rush, Kenny Dalglish. Is he that? Is he seen in that kind of? Is he held in that kind of regard?
I don't think right now he is. I think it's easier to look back on a career and see the body of work, isn't it? And see what he's been able to do. What I can tell you, Rory, is he's just gone over 20 goals for a season for the 4th straight year for us. And the last player to do that was Ian Rush. So, not Suarez wasn't here for that long, been brightly, but for a short amount of time. Robbie Fowler didn't do it. Michael Owen didn't do it. Mo Salah's done it. And that should tell you all you need to know about that, really, shouldn't it?
Mm.
I think you get that's sort of common thing in football, though, don't they? The minute a player leaves or they retire, you look back with rose-tinted glasses, and it's a completely acceptable thing to do. And then when people describe what Salah did in the Premier League for Liverpool after he's left, the appreciation will really then fill in. But then also now you're in a situation where you see players play so often, you see in every moment of every game, whereas Rush era, it was you wouldn't often see, and it was often conversations in a pub and talk about how great a player he is, and your brain conjures imagery that perhaps was somewhere outside the realms of reality, but almost more romantic. So the players of the yesteryear get more credit for that, and I don't think if Liverpool would get another striker as good as Salah, in the next 10 years, anywhere near as good as him, they've done an incredible job.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
It's interesting. I'm looking again at these top scorers, and when I'm thinking about that, the big six as we talk about them, Lacazette has had good moments and bad moments. Firmino, good moments and bad moments this season. Man City, Jesus and Aguero has been injured a lot of the time. There's a lot sort of gaps for a lot of these teams, and a lot of players who have scored goals but maybe don't get the plaudits. I mean, the name that comes out of me a few times, and it's one that there was a bit of talk about him in terms of transfers, was Danny Ings. Now, Rory, I'll come to you first. Do you see Danny Ings as a player that gets that move to that top side once again? Because I think it's obviously something that he wants. But you've got a lot of players here, like Bamford, like DCL that we were talking about earlier, like Ings, players that might want to make that next step. Do you see him being able to do something like that?
Yeah, Callum Wilson is another one who I think will have eyes on a slightly bigger opportunity if it were to come up. Like when you think about the goal that he scored against Everton the other day, the whip on that header, so difficult to do, so impressive, and he's such a good striker, and he is basically solely responsible for Newcastle not being in a relegation fight. But with Ings, I think this may sound slightly hyperbolic, but I think you could go as far as saying that Ings is one of the most natural finishers in the Premier League, if not the most natural finisher in the Premier League. So I think that he certainly will. I think he was very unlucky with his time at Liverpool. I think had he not been injured, it probably would have worked out for him. Klopp is a huge admirer, and you can't get a better, more impressive fan than that. So I think that Danny Ings will be being eyed up by other clubs. The only reason that it may not happen is because it will be interesting to see where Southampton finish this season. They've dropped off a bit. I think they're down to sort of mid-table. But if they were to qualify for the European competitions, then he has no reason to leave.
Yeah, Chris? Chris, your thoughts?
First of all, Rory's spot on with a lot of what he said there about Danny Ings. I think, Klopp didn't really want him to go to begin with, but he recognised that he probably needed to move on for his career. And, it's his work rate for me. I think he works so hard for the team. And I love the way he runs even. Like, he sort of skulks around the pitch, and his shooting accuracy, it's brilliant. I'm just having a look at the top scorers now. And, Danny Ings' shooting accuracy, 71%. And there's only a couple of lads, Alexander Lacazette and Son Heung-min, who actually have a higher sort of shot accuracy, and his goal conversion is really good as well. And he's doing it from limited opportunities, because he's not having 10 shots a game, but he always seems to work the goalkeeper. I think there's potential there where he can go back to a big club and he can go and perform at a big club, because he's got everything that you need. He's got that work rate that the top sides are looking for. We all want to press high up the pitch, and yet he can get in there and be a part of it and link players in. He's just an outstanding footballer, and he works so hard, and he was so unlucky with his injuries that I do hope that he goes back to a top club and has a brilliant career.
Okay, guys. Thank you very much, Chris and Rory. I just looked at Rory's robe again. Put your cleavage away, if that's all right. Oh, yeah, it's great to chat to you guys.
Cheers, boys.
Now, guys, we've got a roundup on the women's game and all the latest transfer news and stories from Redmen TV's Amy Lawrence and Lauren Black.
Well, what a transfer window it's been in women's football. Some big names making some big changes.
It certainly has been. I think it's time we get this transfer window roundup going.
Arguably the biggest move of the window has to be World Cup winner Abby Dahlkemper making the switch from the NWSL to join Manchester City as a bid to boost their title hopes.
Sticking to Americans, it was announced superstar Alex Morgan would be heading back to the States after a short loan period with Tottenham Hotspur.
However, Spurs continue to strengthen with additions such as defender Abby McManus on loan from Manchester United and permanent contracts for both Alana Kennedy and Zakira Zadorsky.
Manchester United also managed to bag Maria Torres-Dottir from title rivals Chelsea. Speaking of London sides, Arsenal re-signed young lioness Anna Patton from the University of South Carolina as they look to strengthen with some new young players.
Other moves across the league saw WSL legend Jill Scott sign a loan deal to join Everton to keep herself in contention for the Team GB squad. Everton were also able to tie down striker Claire Emsley to an extended 18-month contract with the Toffees.
Trust me, we're almost there. However, big news from WSL newbies Aston Villa surfaced as they announced Mani Iwabuchi, Japan's national team captain, as their newest recruit, as well as boosting their coaching staff with the appointment of Marcus Bigno as their interim manager.
This window brought many changes in the dugout, including the Lionesses parting ways early with Phil Neville and Jane Ludlow becoming a free agent after leaving her role as the Welsh national team manager.
Another big shock was the departure of Liverpool manager Vicky Jepson after over a decade at the club, and that top contender Matt Beard had instead taken on a managerial role over at Bristol City.
Finally, we'll end on international soil. Ballon d'Or winner Ada Hegerberg extended her contract with Lyon up until 2024. Lyon also managed to win the race to sign 21-year-old Caterina Marcasio, who is set to be the next biggest footballing star.
I think we've just about covered it all. Some massive moves across the women's leagues this January window after an already huge transfer window in the summer.
It's been great to see such growth in the women's transfer market. I wonder if we'll see any last-minute deadline day deals. Who knows?
Massive thanks to Amy and Lauren there. Welcome back to Deadline Day Live, powered by Snickers Protein. In this hour, we keep on moving, Flav. We've got Man City fan Stephen McInerney joining us. Paul Machin, the OG, will be back as well. And our hunt to get a footballer on the stream will continue. And I've put a few texts out, Flav. Hopefully, we might be able to... I haven't been able to get a player just yet, but I might be able to get another manager within the next hour. So stick around, guys. Keep it locked on Bull
James,
Street for the next...
There's 2 hours left. There's 2 hours left of the transfer window.
I'm making moves. Who are you calling?
Well, I don't have your contact, do I? I'm surprised you have contact. Yeah. I'm surprised we've known each other.
You let me do that.
We've got to be but coming on 7 years, and you never told me you got these contacts in your. Who are you?
6 degrees of separation, mate. There's, and let us know, guys. This is important now. Let us know which player you could get for us. Help us out here. This is Bull Street. This isn't linear content. We don't just give you great content and expect nothing in return. We're expecting you guys getting on Twitter right now and using the hashtag fanline and telling us about your woes so we can help you with that, but also letting us know which players we could get onto this live stream. We want a player, okay? We want a player, but I will make some text.
So get on Twitter, Snickers Protein, hashtag fanline. Let us know what your woes are, what your worries are, what your gripes are about the transfer window. Do it right now. Get your phone, hashtag fanline, and we'll answer them. We may even have a special guest lined up who can answer and help you answer your woes. So just get them in.
Exactly, yeah. Do it for me. Look, I'm having a few woes at the moment. Queen's Park Rangers are losing 1-0 to a penalty that shouldn't have been a penalty against Watford. Okay, so if there's anything you can do for me, let's work as a team. Use the hashtag fanline and let's figure out. Let's get some hashtag fanlines involved right now. Let's go to Jack for a bit of a news roundup, and we want to hear from some of you guys as well. Jack, how you getting on?
Yeah, I'm all right. Thank you, James. I'm all right. I've been loving reading through some of these stories on Twitter, and I just want to say, don't worry. Snickers Protein are here to get you out of the hysteria and back loving the game. And I thought this was interesting from Dave Meadow, right? He's an Everton fan. He says, do you think we should have signed another keeper during the transfer window? Hashtag fanline. Dave, you've got 2 international number ones. Most teams would kill for that. You got Jordan Pickford, you got Robin Olsen. Now, look, I know they're not perfect, but 2 international number ones, that's not bad. It's going to be all right. Don't stress it. Don Carlo has that all in hand. So, yeah, get your fan lines in and we will deal with your worries, make you not stress it anymore. News-wise, across the Merseyside divide, Liverpool have repaid Preston in kind for Ben Davies because Sepp van der Berg has joined the Lily Whites on loan until the end of the season. Baz Hitchin asked about this on Twitter. He says, what do you think this is like? It's a nice little pickup, this, for Preston, I think. 2 years ago, when Liverpool bought Sepp van den Berg from PEC Zwolle, there was a bit of a bidding war going on between them and Bayern Munich. He's a ball-playing centre-back. He's getting his chance in the Championship. I quite like this. Still nothing, though, Flav, from Spurs. All quiet in North London.
Thanks, Jack, for that. Next time, can we just do a normal link without everything being a dig about Spurs? And another thing on this player. Where is he? Sepp van der Berg. Are there any centre-backs that aren't ball-playing centre-backs anymore? Every single centre-back, you have to add a prefix to them being a centre-back as ball-playing centre-back. What happened to the good old Bosch centre-back? Yeah. That's what I miss. The good old Bosch centre-backs. Get your head on it. Get your nut on it.
He's happy to get rid.
I want a sign-in. I want things to be better at Spurs. That's all.
Yeah, they're struggling.
I'll tell you what, if I wasn't on this stream, James, I'd be straight on the hashtag fanline, Snickers Protein powered hashtag fanline. I'd be asking me or you to sort out my problems. Why shouldn't I be? Why am I got so many gripes?
Yeah, well, at least you've got a really exciting youngster up front, Troy Parrott. I'm sure he's ready to come through, is he not, Flav?
No, he's gone on loan to Ipswich. We've sent him on. He went to Millwall. Lots of hope. Yeah, Troy Parrott, he's the next big thing. Next Harry Kane. We'll send him out to Millwall, see how he does. 11 goals, 0. It's 11 games, 0 goals. It's all right. Don't worry about it. Let's send him to Ipswich. See if he does well. Honestly, is a big prospect. Not quite ready for first team football at Tottenham yet, but really hopeful about Troy Parrott in the future.
Yeah, because you keep sending him out on loan. Speaking of front lines,
learning his craft.
Maybe. Jack, on the Snickers Protein fan line, I think there's another front line that someone needs a bit of help with. Is that right?
Yeah, no, there's a couple of different bits coming in on the fan line. Most of them, to be honest, are asking Flav for special shark facts that he's had for deadline day. So I'm assuming that this is a Bull Street classic.
Oh, yeah. I mean, in a way. Is it right time? Shark facts? I mean, look.
Maybe not. Maybe let's keep it for a little while.
I'll give you one. Sharks are older than trees. That's a fact, isn't it, Jane?
That is true. Yeah, sharks are older than trees.
There was a question about a front line. It's from Liverpool fan Callum Buck. He says he's half expecting Mbappe to be announced in exchange for Divock Origi and a pack of crisps at this rate because Michael Edwards is truly a genius in every sense of the word. That's not really a worry, but I do rate it because, obviously Paul earlier was talking about 4D chess from Michael Edwards and you've got to respect it, haven't you? You've got to look at that hustle. It's fair play.
No, you can build a narrative around anything if you want to. Like, I get it. It's as Liverpool, you're going to build this up. But fundamentally, we know transfers happen in packs. Certain players have to move so other players become available. Do you think this guy, Edwards, has gone in and actually gone, why don't you buy Mustafi and give us your best defender? And him gone, all right then, because you're from Liverpool. That's not the way it's worked. But let's build a narrative around Liverpool. I just want Spurs to be good. That's all.
All right. Right. There, the Snickers Protein fan line is ringing again, right? And we've had some good comments. And Martin Booyans has sent us a video. He sent the fan line absolutely buzzing. Right. Play the tape. You two, get your answers into this.
If Man City sign Haaland, do you think Jesus decides to leave Man City, or do you think he'll be happy as the backup? Or as a winger, I assume. He could play a winger. He's quite a good left winger.
Okay, guys. I'll pick this one up, Flav, because I imagine you've got very little sympathy for Man City at the moment.
None.
Fortunately, we have ourselves. We're in esteemed company. But great work, James. Stephen McInerney joins us to answer that very question. Talking about Gabriel Jesus. Stephen, it's great to see you, my friend. How are you, first and foremost?
I'm okay, man. Thanks. You two all right?
Very good, mate.
Oh, fantastic, mate.
I feel a bit underdressed after Rory's dressing gown thing. I literally had one on before, and I was gutted. I thought, I can't leave this on. Look, it's it. But Rory went for it anyway, and that's why we learned.
Yeah. That question there from Martin, he was talking about Gabriel Jesus. Now, I think the main talking point for Man City was the idea of maybe bringing in a striker, but I think that was in hope more than expectation. But what are your thoughts on Jesus? What's his future looking like? Give Martin some help.
I think he's probably got to stay around anyway, because unfortunately his future's linked to Aguero's future, and Aguero's looking a bit old. Sadly, I mean, he's younger than me, but he's still he's not played any football really at all this season. And there are some rumours that we could just let him go on a free at the end of the season if he doesn't kind of get his fitness back, which is obviously terrible. And it's a scary thought, to be honest, as a City fan, and given the fact that he's been so game changing for City over the past God knows how many years. But yeah, I mean, Jesus, I think will have to stay around as a result, because if he goes as well, Jesus is a very good player. No, he's not Aguero. We've been spoiled by literally having one of the greatest Premier League strikers of all time. Genuinely one of the greatest strikers in the history of the game, in my opinion. So we've been spoiled by him, where we've only got, Brazil's number 9 as a backup, which I can't really complain about that. But Haaland coming in, the one thing that Manchester City sometimes lack in front of goal, and I'm stressing sometimes, not always, we can miss an awful lot of chances. And early on in the season, when City weren't playing particularly well, we were still missing sitter after sitter after sitter and dropping points. So Haaland's obviously a bit of freak of nature that everyone wants. And I do think their futures are kind of intertwined, Gabriel Jesus and Haaland. But I do believe if City went for someone like Haaland, Jesus would be seen as the man who challenges him, as opposed to the guy who essentially gives way, I reckon.
Yeah, well, Jesus is, he's happy being the backup striker, it seems. He appreciates how good Aguero is. And, if you've got a player of that quality who's willing to be on the peripheries of that first team starting berth, then, like you say, as Brazil's number 9, that's not a bad backup option. Although, if you're Jesus and they then bring in Haaland to be the number 9, the starting number 9, he's got to look at his own career and his own ambition then, surely, because if you're going to spend the money that Haaland is going to demand, not just obviously there's a transfer window. Sorry, there's a release fee he's got next summer in his thing. So he's going to demand that first team starting berth. But where does that leave Jesus?
No, you're spot on, to be honest. I think if you come in as a 20-year-old Gabriel Jesus from Brazil, no one's going to complain being behind Aguero, are they? No one. It's understandable. And probably now, 3 years later, when he's 23, it's someone like Haaland comes in. As good as Haaland is, he's 20. He will be looking down and going, this guy's younger than me by some way, and I'm all of a sudden the backup. And obviously, he'll understand that Haaland's great. And I'm sure there'll be a part of him who wants to get on because he seems very professional and hard working and all that kind of stuff. And he hasn't moaned for 1 second despite sitting behind Aguero. But it might be a point where he's like, I kind of, I'm not a baby anymore. I want to kind of be cracking on. He's 24 in April, Gabriel Jesus, and it's not old, but it's definitely not, raw potential anymore. He has to be a certified talent, and he is obviously, but he won't be happy sat behind. Haaland, I suspect he'll feel different. So, it's on him. I guess the onus is on him now to make himself irreplaceable. I do think City will try and keep him. It doesn't mean obviously the City will get their way. But I think he would at least see a year if Haaland came, I reckon, to see how it went. But yeah, you're right. You're absolutely spot on. It wouldn't be ideal for him, I reckon. I think he'd probably struggle to understand it as much as with Aguero.
Yeah, it's interesting because, Man City have actually been very clinical in other positions within the squad. You think of maybe fullback, or maybe there's a bit of a sort of backlog in those areas a little bit. But it feels like they have really given him a bit of time with this one. Here's a question with you, because the question for you, sorry. When we talk about Haaland, the other megastar that Man City talk about, and Man City should be talking about megastars because they have the clout to do it nowadays, is Messi. Yeah. Which one out of these two would you love if you could only have one?
What a problem. I wouldn't care. No, to be honest, I mean, if you're talking about,
sorry, Stephen, let me stop you there because Queen's Park Rangers have just scored a goal. Come on, the lads, get in there. Yes, 1-1. Who wants it? Yes, get in. Sorry, Stephen. Carry on.
No, that was an important PSA for everyone to know, man. I mean, I'm happy for you, James. I'm happy for you, man. Was it Messi? Is he signed for the hoops? But basically, to be honest,
under the name of Charlie Austin. Thank you very much.
Oh, well, there we go. Who needs Messi when you got Charlie Austin? Exactly. To be honest, you choose Messi pretty much every single day. But then when you've got someone who's 20 and could be, have a Ronaldo level legacy, you have to choose the young gun, unfortunately. But if you were saying like, I don't know, Messi or Lautaro Martinez or something like that, when he's someone a little bit older, not quite as special as Haaland, you'd probably choose Messi. But I would probably say Haaland just because of age. But that's not to say I wouldn't be very, very happy we've got Messi. I mean, it's Messi. It's ridiculous. It probably won't happen.
What a world we live in. What a world we live in where QPR fans are happier than Spurs fans. Like, what is going on? Nothing is right in this world at the moment. I've already had one Snickers, Snickers Protein. I feel like
Flav.
Anyway, look, we've got to talk about KDB because he's such a good player and he's so crucial. Well, he'd be crucial to any team that he walked into because he's that good. But where do the goals come if he isn't around? Like, how does Manchester City function without KDB?
We're kind of lucky. We've got quite a few good players. But I mean, the thing is that the goal scoring step up's been really helped. Like Gundogan got 7 in his last 8 games, which is a ridiculous outing and no one saw coming. Gundogan's been playing a lot further forward now. David Silva's kind of moved on. He's become like one of those kind of false 8 things. And Foden's a goal scorer, man. He's like our leading goal scorer. So Foden now he's playing regularly. He's starting to bang goals in as well. And it's one of those things where everyone's just kind of chipping in a little bit. Obviously, De Bruyne is, we know Aguero and Jesus are out of form and De Bruyne are not there. We kind of got away with it against West Brom. I'm a little bit nervous when we even get around to you guys, Flav. I feel like Mourinho will do his Mourinho thing against us and don't like playing.
Don't worry about that. I mean, do not worry about that. You've got nothing to worry about.
I'm not worried right now. Give me a week to. Yeah, no, even the game 2-0 early in the season. That, to be honest, since that game though, the 2-0 against Spurs, City have won 15 out of 18 and not lost. So that was kind of thanks for that, by the way, Flav. Cheers, man. But he's turned it around for since then. But after that, I don't know, Mahrez is picking up goals. We'll pick up goals. Sorry, Foden, Gundogan, Bernardo scored a really crucial goal against Aston Villa, the controversial goal, with Mings and all that kind of stuff. But we have the players. We have to kind of essentially just create chances, and someone's going to score. I mean, confidence is the biggest factor.
Stephen, I get it. You've got loads of players.
We can score, man. Do you want us to borrow someone? You can have, I don't know.
Yeah,
you can have
yes, that would be wonderful. I can't believe.
You can leave the last. There we go.
Steve, I've got an issue here. Is you're mentioning Erling Haaland, one of who will be a generational talent, like he's he's barely on your register. Well, we could get Haaland, and if we did get Haaland, it's a shame because Aguero's gone, but it was like we could buy Haaland, one of the best strikers, probably one of the best strikers when he retires to ever do it. We could buy. This is what my problem is. With Manchester City fans, they're too complacent about the potential world-class signings all the time, Stephen. You've had too much too soon.
Well, I definitely didn't, man. I cried enough over this club, trust me. I'm old enough to remember the considerably worse times than this. But no, you're right. We have been spoiled a little bit. Like we spend a lot of money. I love it. I can't deny it. It's great fun. But occasionally you do get a bit numb. And to be honest, the City fans right now, I can't speak for everyone. For myself, I'm enjoying Phil Foden more than the idea of Haaland coming because he's one of our own. You know what that feels like. And City have had that for a while since like the Michael Richards and Sean Wright Phillips and all that. So for now, Foden coming through and literally becoming our leading goal scorer, that means something because he literally is one of us, you know. And yeah, I mean, also to be honest, there's an element of like typical City where I don't believe something's going to happen until it happens. I presume the worst. That's still part of who I am since I was a kid with City going relegated and all that kind of stuff. So Haaland, yeah, I should be dead excited, but I've still got a feeling he'll end up at Liverpool or something like that, and I'll be gutted. But I just don't trust City to get it right, even though we should, and we do often, which makes no sense. So football.
So I guess, you know, again, sometimes you look at your transfer window through the kind of sphere of how the team's doing, and you know, you winning 12 on the bounce will make you kind of go, we don't really need anyone. But if you try and look at it objectively, is there any element of disappointment that you've not looked to sort of strengthen anywhere?
To be honest, man, it is the forward positions. I was genuinely a bit nervous when Aguero got his injury at the back end of last season because it was a particular knee injury, which is known for being pretty bad, especially for anyone who's been pretty injury prone. Aguero always has kind of like little niggly injuries. So I was hoping in the summer, I actually tweeted out, like, I hope City kind of go for something like Cavani because I thought it would have been really useful. And that kind of went pretty well for United. But I was hoping for someone like that, to be honest. You know, like a backup striker, because Aguero, he just seems to constantly getting swelling in his knee, and he's meant to take him 4 weeks at the end of last season, but he's been out for several months now, and it's just one of those things where it's very frustrating because I'm really scared of the idea of Aguero just essentially seeing out his last season and barely playing any football. And with Jesus as well, not necessarily always clinically in front of goal. I kind of wanted a plan B there, and I felt like we could see it coming, and we did nothing about it. But other than that, I guess maybe one day a left back. Zinchenko's doing all right now, but Mendy, unfortunately, it's just not worked due to injuries. And I reckon that's what City will go for in the summer, maybe a left back and maybe a forward. But our squad's pretty decent. I honestly can't complain. We're seeing players now like Cancelo and Rodri in their second seasons getting better, you know, and it's looking. And Gundogan's found another level, and you know, and Foden's getting older, and we've come out of nowhere at the top of the table, and I like it. It's nice. It's been kind of quiet, and we've done all right, man. We've done all right.
I'm just looking at Flav's face there. He doesn't seem too happy about it. You're talking about backup strikers. This is a bit of a tangent quickly, but I was just looking at BBC Sport, and they're talking about moves that still could happen. You know, Josh King to Everton, Fulham, Josh Maja to Fulham. And then right at the bottom it says Will Grigg to somewhere. So it'd be interesting. You never know. Might,
just like whatever.
Feels like lazy journalism to me, but you know, look, who am I? Speaking of strikers, then we've done this a couple of times in the last couple of hours. We did it with Odegaard. We did it with Declan Rice. We've simmed a couple of seasons with a player if they were to go into a team. And in terms of the pet puzzle and Haaland maybe being the final piece in that, we've done the exact same thing. We want to find out what it's going to be like in the next 3 seasons if Haaland signs for Man City. And it's quite surprising.
How many Ballon d'Ors, man?
Norwegians struggled to displace Sergio Aguero and Gabriel Jesus in the number 9 role for the Citizens, despite notching an impressive 11 goals in 17 league starts. In fact, Guardiola's men struggled across the board in their 2020-21 season. They finished 3rd in the league, watching the red side of Manchester clinch the title in impressive fashion. Bruno Fernandes was key to that success as he won Player of the Year ahead of teammates Marcus Rashford and Mason Greenwood. While Lampard's managerial career took a downward turn, he was sacked by the Blues after a poor run of league form. Guardiola may feel fortunate to escape joining them, to be honest. A mediocre 3rd place league finish was met with disappointing early exits in all 3 cups. This was further compounded by Haaland's decision to publicly voice his dismay over a lack of football. Neither impressed Pep Guardiola very much. Season 2. Man City's patience in Guardiola did, however, prove worthwhile in Season 2 as he steered the side to a domestic double. They followed Arsenal's feat of the previous season by getting their hands on both domestic trophies. The struggles for playing time continued for Haaland though, as he was an unused sub in the FA Cup final. He did get a chance in the Carabao Cup final, and he took it. His fine 21st minute strike against Norwich sent City on their way to a 3-1 win. In the league, City fell 4 points short of Liverpool. Haaland's 8 goals in 18 league starts weren't enough for him to cement his place in the side. In the Champions League, City struggled again at the hands of Atalanta, this time failing to pip them out of Group G and falling into the Europa League. This was a blessing in disguise, perhaps, as City added more silverware to their growing cabinet with a win over Real Sociedad in the final. But it was a final that Erling Haaland again failed to feature in. Season 3. In Season 3, City exploded into the transfer market, adding Jack Grealish, Tanguy Ndombele and Carlos Soyuncu to the squad. They proved worthwhile additions, helping City to match last season's total of 86 points, which this time around proved good enough to win them the title. Haaland scored on the final day in a 3-1 win over Burnley, his 12th goal of the season from 26 appearances. In the FA Cup, Brighton again got the better of City, running out 1-0 winners, and an Antoine Griezmann-inspired Barcelona knocked Guardiola's men out of the Champions League, with Haaland failing to impress. An aging Aguero announced that he would be returning to Argentina, and perhaps now was the time for Haaland to fully grasp that number 9 spot and start fulfilling his potential. But how do you think Haaland fared at Man City? Let us know in the comments.
So there you go. Erling Haaland, not very good, according to that simulation. If that's how it would go at City, then that would be one of the most incredible disappointments since Gareth Bale's return to Tottenham. But from strikers to defenders, John Stones, what a revival, Stephen. Welcome back, Paul, also.
Ridiculous, man. Ridiculous and hype ball, by the way. Yeah, genuinely ridiculous. John Stones is he's gone from a guy that I actually heard a rumour myself personally, Flav, that Spurs were close to him in the summer. That City were at one point apparently willing to let him go because, he was brittle. He was injured all the time. He was struggling to get in the team. Garcia was ahead of him, so he was behind, Otamendi, Garcia, Fernandinho at some point last season. And then he kind of got a bit of a reprieve and stayed around. And he's just become sensational, ridiculously good alongside Ruben Diaz. He's an old school defender for you, by the way, Flav. Another one, who's just kind of, he loves a pass, but he's just an absolute rock. And for whatever reason, he's kind of developed this adorable bromance with Stones, and they absolutely love each other. They're always kind of geeing each other up, and they've become a genuinely sensational defensive pairing. It depends whether it lasts or not, because we've seen it from Stones before, where he has a good 10, 15 games and he gets injured and struggles to find his form. But right now, this is easily the best football he's played. I'll probably say in his career right now, genuinely, because the defence is just... the defence is ridiculous. It's genuinely ridiculously good, and we're keeping clean sheet after clean sheet after clean sheet. And Stones is just as big a part of that as Diaz. Maybe it's Diaz that's kind of pushed Stones to that level in terms of focus and concentration. Whatever is causing it, man, it's working because no one expected this. Hardly anyone expected. Well, maybe someone did. Maybe Stones' mum did or something like that. But I certainly didn't expect it. So fair play to. Let's go. Yeah.
So you can't help but put the link together with the centre-backs of Man City and, the centre-backs of Liverpool. And maybe the turning point is today, Paul, because I think at the start of the season, everyone was like, for the last 3 seasons, you would say there are 2 teams that are just so far away from the rest. Obviously, both have had wobbles along the way, but there does feel like there's that sort of, and there often is when it gets to kind of February, there is that sort of sifting and the cream rises to the top a little bit. Do you feel like you've sorted out I guess you're hopeful with this. Do you feel like the centre-back position might be sorted out now and it might give you that chance to do it? Or do you think it might be too late?
No, I don't think it's too late. I think City are amazing. They're just amazing, aren't they? And the fact that they've sorted the defensive thing out, which is, let's be honest, that was the big weakness last season, because everyone was going, oh, wow, they're banging 7 past X, Y, and Z. And then they lost 9 games, I think, last season, which is just unreal for a side of that quality. Liverpool's title win was built on defence last year, and I think Pep Guardiola recognises that it's important to get that sorted, and they have done. It's a long season. I said it before. I think the fact that Man City went late in Europe, didn't have a pre-season, I think that's going to be telling more than anything. I think Man United and City are going to really struggle when it comes to the back end of fitness. I still would back them to, because they've got themselves in front and they are experts at being in front. But on Liverpool's perspective, listen, I just want to, actually, if you don't mind indulging me for a moment, more for Flav's sake, because I sat here and I listened to the nonsense coming out of his mouth earlier on about Michael Edwards. And, these narratives aren't invented. He has has Jedi-like powers, but he's not a fictional character, mate. I mean, let me just run through a couple of the things that have built up this so-called narrative that you just claiming we've invented. We sold Dom Solanke to Bournemouth for £19 million. We sold Jordan Ibe to Bournemouth for £15 million. We sold Mamadou Sakho to Crystal Palace for £23 million. Can I? Would you like me to carry on? Because I can.
No, I'm not saying he's good. I'm just saying Mustafi was sold by him.
£142 million, Flav. 142 for Felipe Coutinho. Yeah. I mean, literally, the man is an absolute gem of a human being. So look, if anyone's possible to sort of get into some sort of, like, you know, talking about neurolinguistics earlier, if someone's able to get into someone's head and make them do things for you in the transfer market, Michael Edwards is as likely as anyone. The man is a transfer god. We've got a statue of Bill Shankly, we've got one of Bob Paisley, and there will be one of Michael Edwards at some point. It's Anfield.
Paul, he's going to have to, how is he going to handle the Salah situation, or whether or not you think he's going to stay? Because there's rumours around the fact that Barcelona may be sniffing, although I can't
You know what
imagine
he'll
they're
do?
going to...
You know what he'll do? He'll either he will sell Mohamed Salah for far more money than he's worth, and then he will go and buy someone for far less money than they're worth, and they'll be just as good, if not better, because that's just how good he's been in the transfer market. And it sounds like I'm being stupid. Like, we've had 5 years. I think there's like Loris Karius was a massive mistake, but he cost like £3. There's been a handful. One or two that we haven't gotten quite right. But other than that, it's been sensational. So look, if Salah moves on, and he probably will do, I think this summer, COVID might impact that, to be honest, because I'm not sure anyone who would want him has got the money for him. But PSG will sniff around, I'm sure. Real Madrid will be in there. Barcelona might well be in there, because they're able to conjure money out of nowhere. And yeah, someone will pay the money for Salah, and we'll move on, and we'll go and reinvest it elsewhere. But I do think Liverpool will be going big, and I do think I have no hope that like Mbappe would end up at Liverpool, but I do think if Liverpool move on one of the front three, they're not going to, I think this is an example where we won't replace them with like a hit and hope 7 million, 20 million pound signing. I think Liverpool are built now to go big where you need to, a la Van Dijk. If we need to go and buy a top class player in a position, we're more in that position than we've been for a very long time.
In a strange, rare break from most Bull Street Deadline Days streams, I've actually got some breaking news that we can talk about here. Southampton, apparently, have asked Liverpool about the possibility of a loan deal for Japan international forward Minamino. Just thoughts on that one, Paul? Michael Edwards has been brilliant, but is this one that hasn't worked out?
To be fair, it's all about the handful ones. I think it's a bit early for him. He has been there he's been there a year, and I think when you've moved to a new country, a new culture where you don't know the language and you're having to meet your teammates via Zoom, probably isn't the most ideal way to embed into a high intensity football squad. But no, I mean, that's a really interesting one. I'm starting to wonder whether he's...
Yes! Come on, lads! We've done it! We've bloody done it, lads! Come on! Minamino, important things going on right now. Queensland Rangers have just snatched right before the deadline another goal kicked in. Sorry,
was it Sinclair?
It was Adama.
Was it
Queensland Rangers fan?
Oh.
Sorry, guys. Get in.
Sorry. Can I just jump in quickly, because we've got to move on very shortly. But Stephen, tell us: are City going to win the league this year, and when will the Champions League success come?
Good Paul, ready for this. I don't know, man. I'd be, put it this way, I'd be disappointed if City didn't win the league this year. I think the situation we're in now, with the kind of defence we're built on, I would expect City are favourites, and realistically, I think we'll win it. Obviously, to me, Liverpool are still the main threat. I mean, that could come back to haunt me big time. But United, I can see them dropping off a little bit. I don't think they've got the stamina or the experience. This squad doesn't have the experience for United anyway. And I think Liverpool will chase us down. I feel confident right now. I don't see why I wouldn't. But in terms of the Champions League, Do you know what Guardiola said at the start of the season? He said he felt different this year in terms of Champions League. He said that himself, and I'm not sure what prompted that. It might have been because he saw Diaz's impact on the defence. And City have always been a little bit naive in the Champions League sometimes, conceding silly goals. And Leon last year, for example, PTSD still thinking about that game, and just conceding sloppy goals. And we don't do that now. So I'm hoping maybe this kind of new defensively ridiculous version of Man City is enough to maybe get us a bit further, but I don't know. You can ask Alex Ferguson. He did 1-2 in like 20 odd years at United, so it ain't easy. These guys are pretty good at it, annoyingly, but the rest of us, we have to kind of wait around for a bit. But yeah, I say we could win the league, and I think we could go pretty far in Champions League this year. I'm going to say at least semis. Fingers crossed.
Okay. Right, guys, thank you so much for spending some time and then sharing that last-minute winner with me. I really appreciate that. Get in, lads. We're just hanging in there. Couple of seconds left. Come on, Rangers. Don't spoil it for me. I'm having a lovely evening. Don't ruin it now. Speaking of lovely evenings, Flav, done a couple of texts this time. I know we're trying to get an actual player on. We're trying our best. I've got not a manager. I've got a pundit this time, if that's all right, because I know people. Do you know what I mean? I know people.
Depends how good. How big a pundit are we talking?
One of the biggest. I've got Jamie Carragher with us. I think he's on the line now.
Really?
All being well. Jamie, great to see you, mate. Thank you for joining us. How are you?
How are you, boys? You okay?
Really good to have you, Jamie.
No, thanks for being here. Of course, really nice offering. Don't interrupt me. I'm starting to talk. Look, last time someone interrupted me, it was Jamie Red. That me paid the price. Okay. I'm okay, thanks. I'm okay.
How do you fancy Liverpool's title chances this season then?
Well, I'm confident. I think we started the season, a couple of changes, a couple of injuries that we had. I think we've sorted that now, really. Obviously, gone out and got a great centre-half and Preston for 25 pence. He'll come in and do a great job. I'm sure he will. But some of the signings, very, very good. I think, as Paul was saying there, I think, you got Michael Edwards, who's obviously going to get rid of a couple of players. I think Bournemouth will probably give us 50 million for Origi. I think I'm not going to look at those kind of signings to bring in. But look, I'm confident of a title challenge. I don't see anyone else doing challenges, so I think it'll be
good. Jamie, we've been chatting about Mohamed Salah quite a lot this evening, and the talks that he might move on at some point. He's got to go at some point. Maybe to Barcelona is one of the options. Could you see that happening?
Well, no, I don't. I don't understand why Salah would leave. He's at the best club in the world at the moment. I don't know why he goes to Barcelona. Coutinho went there. Look what happened to him. Suarez went there. Look what happened to him. We're saying that he's doing quite well now. But to be honest with you, he's at the best club. He's at the best club, Mo. I think he'll stay at Liverpool. And that front three, hopefully we keep that front three. I just can't see him leaving. I think we'll be okay. You are.
It's clear that you've got such a loving relationship with Gary Neville, your previous nemesis at Man United, when you're both playing games. What's it like working with Gary? And is this friendship real?
Well, the only reason that I work with him is because I get paid about £4 million a year to talk about football with him. But apart from that, I don't even want to know him. I've got to sit in the studio with him. Sometimes got to agree with him. Don't like agreeing with him. But look, it's been nice off from Sky Sports. Why are we talking about Gary Neville? I don't want to talk about it. We talk about something different.
Well, it feels like there's a bit of tension there. Are you not the best of friends then?
Well, not really, no. Not really. I don't know what else you want to say. I mean, we get paid to sit with each other. That's about it. I don't want to talk to him, but no, he's okay. I mean, he talks a bit of garbage from time to time, but it's always great sitting with him watching Man United get beaten, Liverpool win.
Another person that you work with is Thierry Henry. He must know some, we're trying to get these current player onto the stream before the end of the show. He must know some current players. Surely we can get him on the stream, or you can get someone on the stream for us.
Well, we'll try, I'm sure. I know you're trying to get a couple of players on. I've got a few contacts there at Liverpool who can get in touch with. Speak to Jordan Henderson. I'm sure we can try and wrangle something there. Thierry Henry, and we'll try and get him on. I'm sure we'll sort something for the end of the show, lads, to be fair. Or just get me back on. I don't really think of anyone else, but yeah, I think we'll do okay. Just leave it to me, boys. I'll sort something out. But just don't say Gary Neville, okay?
All right. What about Hendo's number? Have you got Hendo's number?
I've got Enzo's number. I'll give him a ring. Definitely, 100%. Okay. I'll give him a call in a bit, and hopefully we can get him on the end of the show. Okay.
Okay. Or even I guess there's I know he doesn't like. I won't say his name, but Steven Gerrard. He's a good friend of yours, right?
Oh, Gerrard, yeah, of course. We'll try and get Steven Gerrard on at some point, 100%. Yeah, definitely. So leave that to me and I'll speak to Stevie. I'm sure he'll, he's not got much to do at the moment, as he's absolutely cruising to the league title in Scotland. So I'll speak to Stevie. We'll get him on, boys. We'll get him on.
Good man. Well, thank you very much. Thanks, Jamie. Appreciate
Cheers,
it. You get on it, mate. You get on it, and fingers crossed we can get that actual player on. I mean, we're doing well with the managers, Flav. We're doing all right with the managers, but there's only so many contacts.
Yeah, Frank. Well, yeah, clear. If you haven't exhausted your contacts already, James, I literally don't know who you are. I was an usher at your wedding, and you're surprising me still.
Yeah, these guys didn't make the cut. So
we better talk about your beloved championship, and we just winning again, flying up the league.
Let's do. Yeah, well, yeah. Breaking championship news. The Rangers have won against Watford. Everyone expecting Watford to go up. So many great players. They've got Ismaila Sarr. We'll talk about transfer deadline stuff, like maybe he might go. No, forget about that. We've got Adoma and Charlie Austin banging in the goals for the R's as we make our way up the championship. Speaking of championship, we've got a roundup from the beautiful man with the great voice. His name is Jack Reeve.
As always, following the championship is relentless but absolutely joyful and unpredictable as ever. The January transfer window provides an opportunity for clubs to either keep or sell, improve or not. And it's going to be absolutely pivotal come the end of the season. Often clubs near the bottom of the table will be looking to bring in assets to help them survive in the championship. We all know how many big clubs have suffered falling from the championship and struggling to get back in. You only have to look at Portsmouth, Ipswich and Sunderland. Teams near the top of the table, well, most of them will be looking to simply keep hold of their assets, the players that have got them to the position in which they already sit. Norwich City, none more so. Emi Buendia, Todd Cantwell, Timu Pukki, Tim Krul, Max Aarons, all players they'll be looking to keep in this January transfer window to propel them back to the Premier League. Clubs like Swansea, well, they maybe didn't expect to be this high up the division, but they find themselves within touching distance of the Premier League. And they'll be really happy with the signings they've made so far in Ben Hamer, Conor Hourihane and Jordan Morris. Well, clubs near the bottom of the table, they'll be looking to strengthen. QPR will be delighted to have brought Charlie Austin back through the door. And Sheffield Wednesday, who have struggled due to points deductions, well, they've brought Andre Green and Sam Hutchinson in. A side to look out for, Bournemouth. I don't think they would have expected to have started the season quite so well. Recent form has tailed off, but Jack Wilshere will be playing in the Championship from now until the end of the season. He's been brought in on loan. If they can keep him fit, he's going to be an absolutely key asset for them in their opportunity to get back to the Premier League. The end of the season is nearly here. The January transfer window can change the fortunes of Championship clubs, and I can't wait to see how it all unfolds.
There you go. Championship roundup done. Norwich flying. Can't see anyone but them coming back up to the Premier League as winners. We're joined by Faduma. Hello, how you doing? Back and Paul as well. How you doing, hello?
Good, thank you. How are you?
Very good. We've lost a City fan and we've brought in a Manchester United fan. And we were talking
Upgrade
earlier.
all the way.
Faduma. We were talking earlier about you not being sure about Solskjaer. Are you in or out?
Oh, you're chucking me in on the deep end already. You know what? Straight in. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm a bit torn. I'm probably leaning more towards the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer out team, despite the good run of form. And let me tell you, there's a reason behind this, because my theory is, like, when he came with the intention of rebuilding this team, offloading a lot of players, which he did, kudos to him. There's lots of players that have gone, even at the minute, the likes of Jesse Lingard going over to West Ham on loan. I know potentially trying to offload Phil Jones, like lots of players that have been essentially deadwood at United and trying to move this forward. But equally, I feel like he has not been able to bring a lot of players in. I know, like Bruno Fernandes excluded, but he's not been able to bring a lot of players in, and there's also been a really difficult transition period, longer than you would have expected for a standard United team. But I can't really fault the guy because recent form has actually been really good for United. But initially, I was very much the whole Odegaard out team.
Yeah, it's fascinating here because I thought when I envisaged this part of the chat, I thought Fadumo will go, Ollie's great. Paul will go, Ollie's pretty useless and he's going to ruin it all, which he may still believe. But Paul, you recently said that you think Solskjaer's doing a really good job.
Yeah, look, I mean, he is, isn't he? They were top of the league. I'll be honest. If you base it on expectation, at the start of last season, I said Ole and Lampard would probably struggle to see the season out, and both actually survived the seasons. Now we've come into the second period, and I did, and again, what I felt was at both of those clubs, it was about whether if the teams hit a really, really tricky patch, would they have the ability to manage their way out of it? And you've seen with Chelsea have pulled the trigger, which really is no great shock because that's just what Chelsea do in those situations. Man United's thing is like, who would you get in? And at the moment, I'm not sure there's anyone there you pull the trigger for. Like Liverpool pulled the trigger on Brendan Rodgers, and no one thought they'd do that at the point of the season that they did because Klopp was an opportunity that they couldn't afford to pass up. Chelsea have clearly done the same with Thomas Tuchel, and United. I don't know whether they're well enough run at the moment to make a hard decision on someone like Solskjaer when they're there or thereabouts, and should they? When let's be honest, if he gets into top four with with the players that are there and still that young crop of talent, he probably is doing a pretty good job. I think he's fine, isn't he? I think he's capitalising very well on. I think the teams that have got an organised defence and can hit on the counter attack with pace, and I've got good attacking options. You're seeing that come to the forefront, I think, more this season than we have done in a number of years. So he might just have enough to really put United a title challenge together for Manchester United this season. Will he be able to?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think he's definitely in a position where he's really capitalised on the moment that we're in. Liverpool have really struggled without centre-back, completely struggled, and I think they're going through a transition phase and reshuffling their team, similarly with Man City. So, and Chelsea, again, are going through a whole managerial change. So I think he's definitely capitalising on the moment and making the most of it, and that's giving him a lot more longevity than the fact that, I reckon if this was a typical season where you probably expected Liverpool and City to be performing as they do, he probably wouldn't have lasted as long. And similar to what you said, it is who would you bring in as a replacement to get rid of him? And it's kind of like if he's doing okay, there's no point to sink the ship already if it's kind of just floating by.
Fadumo, Lingard has signed for West Ham. He's been seemed surplus to requirements, certainly in the short term. How do you think he'll do at West Ham? Do you think he'll find his feet again? Because he hasn't played much under Solskjaer.
Yeah, he hasn't played this season, and he hasn't played much under Solskjaer at all. I think with Lingard, I think he definitely needs to find his feet a lot more, and I think West Ham will definitely give him that opportunity. I can see David Moyes giving him a bit more playing time, and I can see him looking to him, for experience. And again, he's played for Manchester United, so he's played under him as well. So I feel like he's bringing him in for, I guess, solidity more than anything. But I do think if Lingard isn't able to capitalise on this, he would be running like his Premier League career into the drain, because I don't see how he would be going forward, because he's had a very difficult patch at United, understandably, on and off the pitch, which has kind of impacted his game. But West Ham is a real opportunity for him, especially with how the West Ham have been performing, because they've really been doing really well recently. So it's really a chance for him to kind of catapult that and use that to his advantage.
Yeah, massively. David Moyes, let's talk about him for a second, Paul, because I love your analogies. I feel like there's a great one, surely, just hidden away in your soul somewhere that you would have for David Moyes about how well he's doing, and the redemption arc of what he's had to go through. What are your thoughts on David Moyes?
Yeah, he's going all right, isn't he? What I like is he's like an old British managers kind of have this, don't they? Where like the good days that you had, it doesn't matter how far away they are; they're just ready to be dusted off. And everyone go, oh, he's back to this period where he guided Everton. He was really good at Everton, wasn't he, for all those years? And it's like, it was a long time ago now. Look, the West Ham thing. Look, I think we're seeing this a number of managers. Solskjaer's another good example of this. Is that if you give a decent manager time to build a squad in their own image. They'll get the best out of it, and I don't think the quick turnaround necessarily favours managers like him. I think he wants to spend a couple of years, get a nice defensive base built, and then look to add some attacking talent along the way. You know, the problem with West Ham, I don't want to, obviously we've got the West Ham Fan TV guys who I'm good mates with, but I think they want to play an attacking brand of football too. I think Tottenham are going to have this with Mourinho. I think there's a bunch of football clubs that they feel like the insert football club's name way at the end of it. Liverpool way, the United way, the Tottenham way, I'm sure, there's the West Brom way. And we all want to see really good attacking football at the end of the day. We want to be excited by our pastime. And David Moyes is not going to do that as your manager in the long term. But again, I said this earlier on the show, this season is ripe for someone to capitalise on the other teams having extra football. So all the European sides in a game where it's a truncated season, where you're playing more and more games, it's more intense, loads of injuries, someone might just rise up. And why not? Why not David Moyes, eh? Rising up there, like reaching for that the one ring in the Lord of the Rings. You know what I mean? Like he's bang up for that, isn't he? Just that quest to get into the qualifying round of the Champions League and then crash out embarrassingly. He lives for it.
There it is. There's the analogy. Funny, you mentioned that you were leaning towards Solskjaer out. David Moyes has done a fantastic job with West Ham this season. If Solskjaer was to abdicate his position or was sacked, would you take David Moyes back?
Oh, I feel like that's... Nah, I don't think... No, I am very much scarred from the David Moyes at United. Do you know what I mean? Like, even this rise to West Ham he has, it's not selling me. It's kind of... I'm still very much remembering the David Moyes at United, which is like burning it to the ground. So, no, we're going to have to pass on that one. We'll quietly stick with Odegaard Solskjaer until...
come on. Who is good enough? Who is good enough for Man United?
Do you know what it is? I was definitely team purely for the drama. I'm not gonna lie. Like, if we could get Pochettino just for the drama of like having Jose Mourinho at Spurs, Pochettino at United, would have been absolutely a dream. But obviously, we didn't capitalize on that, and he's living his best life at PSG. So, as of right now, I'm not quite sure who'll be the best. Sorry,
I think that's
hated that.
On to PSG. He's gone to Pochettino. The fact that he was overlooked for the United job, he will be devastated about that because he should have had that job. He should have been an absolute shoo-in for it.
Absolutely.
But he carries that stigma of not having won silverware. He gets to go and do a few seasons, in Paris, win a couple of league titles, go deep in the Champions League, probably win a few cups. It's a bit like what Brendan Rodgers did with Celtic, albeit in a slightly better league. And then he gets to go to United. There you go. Here's what I've won and walk in. I think Pochettino's playing the long game here, whether it's United or whether it's another good side. But that's Pochettino would have been a great choice.
I think with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer as well as Frank Lampard, it's the whole ex-player. That's really nice. The nice story that fans will buy into, the ex-player that's like turning the club around. Obviously, it didn't work in Frank Lampard's favour because if you're going to get 200 million from your club owner and not come off the back of it and produce well from it, it's going to cost you. But I think that was like the selling point with them that also bought them those favours that obviously Poch wouldn't have. But yeah, United definitely lost out not getting Poch at that point.
Okay. Do you know the one thing I popped into my head today? I was thinking, because sooner or later Moyes will go from West Ham. Obviously managers move on. Where does Lampard go next? Do you think there's any way that Lampard would ever go to West Ham and be their manager after the stick that he's had? Because there is that obvious link, and it does kind of fit, but they just hate each other, don't they?
That'd be amazing. That'd be genuinely
amazing.
He ends up goes to New York City, FC as well after that when it doesn't work. Has a brief spell, assistant manager at Man City, and then packs it all in. Yeah.
The chat seemed to be talking to us a little bit. They were suggesting that the Minamino deal has been done. I'm not sure. I've got total confirmation as I look at BT Sport, Paul. But how do you feel about that if he does go there? That I don't know if it's just Jedi mind tricks from you guys popping it in my head, talking about Michael Edwards and his Jedi mind tricks. But this feels like Jedi mind tricks because he's going to go to Hasenhüttl. Hasenhüttl's going to make him a better player that fits a Klopp system, and he's going to go back and be brilliant. Is that what's going to happen here?
Yeah, I mean, Now,
Yeah.
what's going to happen is he's going to have a good half season. Dortmund are going to go, oh, he looks like our type of player, and we're going to use him as a make weight in the Erling Haaland deal. Because that's the only thing I can have. Minamino's mad. I like him. I think he's really good. I can think of one game where I haven't been impressed by him, and it was a Champions League game, and we weren't very good in general in that against Midtjylland at home. Other than that, he's just looked tidy. He's quite quick. He's got a decent eye for goal. He can play across the front three for whatever reason, and I can only surmise it must be something in training, because we are of so many football clubs. If you don't train well at Liverpool, you don't play for Liverpool. You know, that's a very simple rule under Jurgen Klopp, and I can only imagine there's just something there, because it's crazy. I mean, I was seeing it in the chat. People mentioned it. You know, his last game was against Crystal Palace. He scored the opener in that game, and he looked really, really good. And he's just unfortunately fallen down the pecking order. And you know, and it's mad, because there'd be people who would choose him over Divock Origi all day long. And maybe he's fallen foul. The only thing is on a technicality, I think, in this window, where Liverpool actually don't have enough space to register players in their Premier League squad. Now, I'm signing Ben Davies. You can fit him in because he's homegrown. But in terms of foreign players, I think we'd have to let one out of the squad in order to let him in. So I wonder whether I think we might have accepted a bid for Origi if it had come in, but it hasn't been forthcoming, and they've just gone, okay, well, it's kind of like Klopp, they've gone to Klopp, right? You can have your defenders, but you have to give something up in return. And Minamino's probably fallen foul of a little bit of that, which is really unfortunate. I hope he comes back. Or to be fair, I don't really care if if he doesn't come back. I hope we get enough money for him in the transfer market. We buy someone better, to be perfectly honest. But no, he's been all right.
What do you guys think
That's
of?
the way
Sorry,
go on, Vanilla. No, go.
I was going to ask you guys what you thought about Amad Diallo signing to Manchester United. Like, this is, of course, like a massive move for him. But I was just thinking, it's like, I don't know if this is like, I've been reading lots about him and just people like really hyping him. I'm just like, he's a kid. Like, don't be. United are notorious for overhyping a player and it just goes very quickly. And I just feel like he might just be one of those ones.
Well, they've got a lot of youngsters that have kind of gone out and gone on loans, and I think that might be one for him. It might be interesting to see if he can get anywhere near the starting lineup in this first year for him, because I think that was quite a few. I think Menji has gone to Derby. There's a few Man United players that have kind of gone on transfer deadline day because they kind of need that game time. I think that's such a big part of these massive squads that teams have got. Harvey Elliott at Liverpool, going to Blackburn this year, he's been unbelievable in the Championship for them. You need those games to get better, regardless of how much talent you've got. So I think that's the one for him. Is like, what are the stepping stones to him being a starter for Man United? A broader question for you, Faduma. Who do you think United needs still to kind of get to that point where we look at them and we go, yes, they are right next to Man City and Liverpool?
Do you know, I don't think it's so much as who United need. I think it's so with United, I just think they lack that stamina in terms of like they'll have a good run of games and then it will be, of course, that midweek game was one thing, but I definitely think that draw against Arsenal just wasn't it. Like, I think that's a game that they definitely should have won. And I feel like, Fernandes at the minute hasn't had a goal and assist in a number of games, which is, you can't really dwell on it too much. Like, the guy's performed amazingly well since he's been there. But I don't think it's so much as who they need. I definitely feel like one thing we do need, I reckon, is in defence. Like, defence is a massive gap for Manchester United, and they need someone in there to really strengthen that squad and really experience. I think signing young players is one thing, but signing experience and new players who will deliver on a regular basis is something that United are definitely missing. But I think in the long run, what United are, which is probably, because I see, of course, like the dreamer in me is like, yeah, of course we'll win the Premier League. This would be great. But at the same time, I'm kind of just thinking, realistically, will United be able to keep the stamina and the momentum going they had over the last couple of games? I don't think so. I think there's going to be a dip in performance, and I feel like that's going to come through a mixture of problems, it being centre-back, it being defence mainly, or the two areas I think being a problem.
Fernando, could I ask quickly what you think about the Pogba situation? Because it seems like there is this issue with his agent. The stuff came out earlier in the season which put him in a difficult situation. He responded actually with playing some of his best football that he's played for Manchester United, but there still is this looming offer of a transfer to Juventus. How do you think that will play out?
I think with Pogba is a really frustrating player because he's a world-class player and everyone has seen Pogba perform at a world-class level. It's just, again, it's a consistency. And whether that be, noises off the pitch with his, manager like running his mouth or his agent running his mouth and saying A, B, C, and D, I think it is a real lack of consistency that's like he should be someone that's like written amongst legends at United, because the quality, when he plays well and he plays incredibly well, but when he doesn't deliver, it's very obvious. And you see how much that impacts United, because you can see, it was more so obvious when Bruno Fernandes wasn't there, because, they were missing that partnership for Marcus Rashford. But now that, Fernandes is there, it's like, you'll see when Pogba's missing out, but it doesn't affect the wider team as much. But, the fact that he's delivered recently has been quite good. But I think Juventus is always going to be an offer. I kind of hope it doesn't happen, because I think he's too good of a player for anyone to lose out on, especially a team like United, where, again, if we're going to keep Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, we need good players to really, and we need United to be a squad that other players want to come to, because signing in fresh talent is one thing, but you also need those players that bring the experience, the credibility, and that have that reputation. Like, I want to play amongst those players, and I think Paul Pogba is one of those. But I can see why Juventus is absolutely appealing, but hopefully that's just his agent running his mouth again.
Yeah, there is a done deal, Paul. Liverpool sign Ozan Kabak. It is done. Let's get your reaction, thoughts, feelings, emotions.
Yeah, great. I'm glad that they finally announced this. We've known this for about 6 hours. I think we did a video confirming this on our channel, but I'm glad the rest of the media's finally caught up. No, I'm happy with that. I think he'll be 21 in March. I think he's coming from a struggling Schalke side, which will tend to lean people towards thinking. I mean, I saw Paul Merson saying that, that means that he's going to struggle with entering into a squad with a winning mentality or some nonsense like that. Good on you, Merce. But if Liverpool, again, look, Michael Edwards is trending on Twitter, Flav. This is a 4D chess playing transfer god we're talking about here. This is a lad. I just want to point out on Kabak. So Liverpool were after him in the summer, and the fee was being reported at near 40 million euros. 6 months later, half a season later, we've picked him up for £1.5 million for a 6-month loan with an option to buy for 18 million at the end of the season. Like, if Liverpool have got the man, I think that they ultimately wanted, and that's the important thing here. And they get to try him for 6 months, basically almost for free. So look, if he's good, we'll keep him, and if he's rubbish, we'll move him on and go and hopefully buy someone better. But I'm just glad we've solved the problem, because it was causing me mild distress, mainly just answering. I'm so bored of people going, "Oh, Paul, he's starting centre half for Liverpool this weekend." No, because that joke isn't funny.
He's a goalkeeper.
Funny, like the first, yeah. It's Chris Pajak who can do that job. We're talking about lads who Bosch get their heads on it, Flav. Chris Pajak. We've all seen Bosch.
I've seen him.
I'm sure those videos are still there.
What
just what he said, actually, I think Kabak and Pajak, maybe something in the names, they've both got similar thighs. Now, just look at a picture of the two of them here. Maybe there's something in there. I don't know. Yeah, maybe it's time to move on after that little moment. Let's see. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. For fascinating to chat to you. Your thoughts. Paul, you're a glorious human being, as you well know. As the 1 hour klaxon rings apparently on BBC. I'm sure we will speak to you guys very soon. Thank you once again. Speaking of Bull Street favourites, we've actually had some Bull Street favourites answering some questions. We've asked them to pick one. You can only pick one. Let's know what you think in the chat. This time it's between James Maddison, Mason Mount, and Jack Grealish. Take a look. Player I would love to see at my club is undoubtedly Jack Grealish, because I've seen him in the Championship drag a team up into the Premier League and then keep them in the Premier League, and that's what QPR would need.
I think Grealish is probably the best player, although I don't like him and I don't know why, but I think that's just because he plays for Villa and he tore his new arsehole earlier on in the season.
Straight away, this isn't a Spurs-Chelsea thing. I'd take Mason Mount out. Not that he ain't a great player, he's just not playing at the level.
Why is Mason Mount even on this list?
I think Mason Mount is a terrific player. It seems weird that he gets any sort of sticker abuse. I think he's been great for Chelsea, to be honest.
Mason Mount is an incredible football player. Chelsea are so lucky to have him. He is the heartbeat of our midfield, despite being virtually a child.
Grealish is the kind of player that you love to watch as a football fan. He's just absolutely special on the ball. He's electrifying, he's tall, and he's obsessed with Kevin De Bruyne as well, which gets a thumb up in my book.
Probably Jack Grealish is the best, and therefore he's probably the one that I'd want the most.
And he looks like he belongs at a club like United. Socks down, cocky, arrogant, but he backs it up with a swagger with his football on the pitch.
As outside of Tottenham, Jack Grealish is my favourite. I love watching him play. I love his personality. He's just my kind of player. He's everybody's kind of player. Everybody loves him.
Maddison's got Man United. He's got like £70 million Man United player written all over him to me.
So while I think Jack Grealish has the highest potential and is the best player of the three, I would go for James Maddison because he's probably, or at least in the conversation of being the best number 10 in the league.
I thought Grealish, I used to think he was a bit like all style, no substance, but I haven't seen him this season. He's just gone up a level.
Grealish linking up with De Bruyne and Gundogan and co. Oh, that would be special. Grealish for me.
Grealish has kicked on to another level. Looks like an absolute baller.
I genuinely think Spurs would be, in everybody's books, a title contender if we manage to get James Maddison.
We are 1 hour to go, guys. Time to power through. And I will be powering through with Snickers Protein, which are blood.
Oh, you're so lucky.
I nearly sweared. It's so good, mate. Oh,
I know.
Thank
I know.
you to Snickers
I know how
Protein.
good it is.
More protein, 30% less sugar than your regular Snickers. And they powered us through. This transfer window has been glorious. Flav, you talk.
It's a wonderful, wonderful thing. I just want to make sure that you're getting your hashtag fanline queries in. Obviously, we've still got an hour left for the transfer window, haven't we, James? And want you to get, because we're going to go over to Jack very shortly. So we want to see what your hashtag fanline questions and queries about the transfer window are, so we can dig and delve into them. Just quickly to answer that, pick one. I love that one because that was my favourite segment about who would be the you'd want to sign at your football club. James Maddison, Mason Mount, and Jack Grealish. Jack Grealish is a wonderful player, but James Maddison has really come to the fore, hasn't he, James? He's been fantastic this season.
He has. His numbers are actually and the thing. I'm sort of half. I'm just enjoying the afterglow of those couple of bites, but I've got a couple of bites left. Buzzing.
Good.
Yeah, Maddison doesn't get the credit he probably deserves, and actually really turned it on in the last. It feels like all these attacking midfielders are kind of fighting it out a little bit now to sort of who can post the numbers now. That seems to be a big thing in football. Maddison's always posted the kind of shot creation, but in terms of goals and assists, he's not really had that. Same with Jack Grealish a little bit, and both of them this year have gone on to the next level. In terms of transfers, actually, in James Maddison and Jack Grealish, both of them have been linked with Man United in the past, and we will be talking to a Man United fan, our good friend. We've been on many adventure with our boy.
Oh yes,
Sam People.
Oh yes,
we're going to be chatting to him. We're also going to be chatting to. I'll put a couple of texts out, and we've got another manager, and hopefully Carragher's put in a couple of texts as well, and we will find out who the mystery footballer is later in this final hour. So keep it locked. Stick around for the rest of this deadline day show because we need you here, guys. And like Flav said, make sure you get involved because we're going to chat to Jack in a second. But we need your footballing woes. We want to give you some Flamers advice. That's Flav and James advice. So use the hashtag fanline. Let us know your thoughts on the transfer window. We're in the final hour now. What are your concluding thoughts? And we will take a look at them within the next hour. Shall we chat with Jack? Let's do that. Jack, how are you feeling? What's the latest? There's a few late moves here.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all good. It's all kicking off a little bit at the end. Like you said, Takumi Minamino to Southampton exploded out of nowhere about 40 minutes ago now. Looks like a deal is close. Both parties pushing for it. Just a question of getting the paperwork and that through before the deadline. Bournemouth have accepted bids from both Fulham and Everton for Josh King. So what I imagine is going on right now is just one gigantic tug of war between those two. He's just sort of being ripped from Merseyside to London via Bournemouth. So that's very exciting. That's one that looks like it's going to go down right to the wire. I wanted to get involved with a couple of these fan line tweets. Obviously, the Snickers Protein fan line kicking off as usual. And there have been some Some old school ones. Jay Copa Mundial 1699. He says, is deadline day even a deadline day without Rick Barnes being linked to a top flight team? But I've got one better, right? Jack Jones, at Real Jack Jones. He says, Anthony Perks Scriber has been seen at Carrington undergoing a medical ahead of a potential £45 million move to United. It's an anagram of Snickers Protein Bar. How about that?
Superb.
Yeah,
Jack Jones. Real Rat Jack Jones.
Absolutely
Great work,
wonderful.
mate.
Yeah, phenomenal.
I was reading that going, is that something naughty? I'm trying to think. That's like, no, it's fine. Well done. Very good.
Brilliant.
That's great.
Brilliant. So, yeah,
He's
keep
got
getting
great
your
left
football
foot.
worries into me. Yeah, cultured ball playing centre half. Just to really get one into Flav. Flav, keep getting your worries into me. We'll try and get through them and answer before the night ends. Any fans out there lost their best player today? Use the hashtag FanLine. Get your calls in to the Snickers Protein fan line. Craig has sent this one in. What are Spurs going to do with Dele Alli, Flav?
It's such a weird situation because I've never ever seen a situation where the player wants to leave, the club don't want to play him, and yet he hasn't left. It's weird. Like there's even in the middle of all this an agreement between Dele Alli, Tottenham Hotspur and PSG that the transfer could go ahead if we were able to get in someone to replace him. Daniel Levy's in a situation where he doesn't want to let a player like Dele Alli leave if we haven't got a replacement in. But it's really strange because it does seem like Jose Mourinho, whether he's here or not, just wouldn't play him. Whether we got a player in or not, Dele Alli doesn't seem to fit with what Jose Mourinho was, and we'll never quite know why that is. But it's a really, really strange thing because we're lacking in creativity so much at the moment, and perhaps Dele Alli would at least offer some answers to some of the questions, given the struggles we're having right now. But yeah, I fully expected him to join PSG, and there's still time, but it seems very difficult if it hasn't even been mooted just yet.
Yeah, I guess the big concern there is surely, if he stays, you presume he'd still be putting in the squad. It's not that bad.
Yeah,
but the vibe's wrong, isn't it? The vibe's off. Like for a player that really, there's a lot you could get out of him.
They're so strange, mate. It's really odd because he, every player that struggled under Jose Mourinho at Tottenham during some period has come back to become at least part regular. Like Harry Winks isn't going to start every game, but he's become important to what we're trying to do and how we play. And Ndombele being the biggest one, where he had practically a whole season off, was injured, came into the side, was criticised, attitude wasn't there. It came out in the last week that he actually asked to leave the football club. Daniel Levy said, no, you can't. You're staying, because they saw out what a great footballer he is. And luckily, whatever differences him and Jose Mourinho had was solved. And it means that Ndombele is now a regular. It's almost like, James, they sat down with a pair of Snickers protein bars, because they both had gripes of each other, and they just discussed it out with over a Snickers protein bar. That sounds like what it is. They both had issues, and perhaps that's what's missing in this Dele Alli transfer saga. They just haven't invested in themselves enough to give them a Snickers protein bar.
So just maybe take a minute. Maybe it doesn't need to be that deep. Maybe just
give yourself a minute.
Come on,
just
take a breath, please. Jack, thank you so much, my friend. Hopefully you'll get Josh King, because I think that's a big one for you, isn't it? You never know who will win that tug of war. We'll find out hopefully within the next hour. We're going to speak to Sam Peoples from United Peoples TV. I cannot wait for that. Very, very much. So we're excited about that. But the big talking point with Man United, certainly in the summer, was Jadon Sancho, and if he would sign. Right winger was the player that looked like Man United needed. It looked like that deal was done. It wasn't done, but it could have been done. And if it was done, the next 3 years would look a little something like this.
Season 1. Jadon Sancho had a steady start to life at United, but failed to bring them the league title in his first season. The Red Devils' 79 points were only good enough for a third-place finish, in which the winger netted just 6 times in his opening campaign. To be honest, it was a difficult season for United fans overall, as they watched on as Liverpool won the Premier League. And then, a few weeks later, Jurgen Klopp's side followed it up with a 5-0 demolition of Chelsea in the Champions League final. United failed to escape their group in the competition. Sancho did, however, get his hands on some silverware this season. He came off the bench and scored a decisive penalty in the shootout as United beat Spurs to lift the FA Cup. Season 2. Sancho was hampered by injuries in his second season as he missed 2 months of the season with ankle problems. His tally of 6 league goals failed to help United as they slumped to a disappointing 5th place, a finish which cost Ole Gunnar Solskjaer his job and saw the arrival of former Barcelona man Ernesto Valverde at Old Trafford. Bologna's Riccardo Orsolini was Valverde's first signing in a £59 million January move, a right winger who would further hamper Sancho's playing time. Sancho did, however, start and score against Arsenal in the semi-finals of the League Cup to secure another cup final for his side. They weren't good enough in the final though. The City won comfortably, even after going down to 10 men. In the Champions League, Sancho started 7 games en route to the semi-finals, where he was once again dropped for in favour Orsolini. Bayern dispatched Valverde's men 3-0 on aggregate in a dominant European display. They followed it up with a win in the final to deny Liverpool back-to-back Champions League trophies. Season 3. United may have climbed a spot into the Champions League places, but they were some way off a title challenge, finishing 15 points off both Man City and Chelsea. Sancho played little part in United's league campaign, starting just 10 times under Valverde. He was also used sparingly in the cup competitions. Orsolini was the favoured choice for the Europa League final, leaving Sancho to watch on from the bench. Despite a poor display from the former Bologna man, Sancho failed to get onto the field. It mattered little, as United bettered Napoli to win the tie 1-0, securing yet another European trophy for the red side of Manchester. Not the impact United fans were hoping for from Sancho, but how do you feel the English winger would fare at United?
Well, there you have it, James. Another look. What you just mentioned something when we was watching the sim through once again. Maybe sometimes just leave the dice alone.
That's it. I think, look, the big thing is that I'm just looking at BBC Sport here, and the only, Don Hutchinson, ex-Liverpool midfielder, says that the days of big deadline day signings are long gone. And maybe that's okay, because actually it's just little tweaks here and there that can maybe make the difference. Because Sancho, according to that simulation, it suggests that he's not even going to get in the team. So you save some money.
I love
Great
that.
job.
I love that you get these players, Don Hutchinson out of nowhere, just saying no more big transfers. Don Hutchinson, football knowledge based on transfers. He's like a man possessed coming out of stuff. It's like that time when Tony Cascarino advised Real Madrid to ensure they buy back Reguilon. That
It's
doesn't
exactly
mean
like
anything. It's exactly like that.
Should we chat to the boys?
We're joined. What?
Should we chat to the
Jim?
boys?
Well, come on then. Oh, Sam Peoples, Chris Pajak, what are we waiting for?
All right, lads.
Hello,
There
Sam.
he is.
First of all, Sam, can you find some headphones? Because you're reverberating somewhat. Do you have headphones nearby? He doesn't have any.
I tried to get it working, but they weren't working.
Never mind.
Or play off. We're fun.
Sam, tell me about Amad Diallo. What to expect of him? 18 years old, big money. Is he going to start? Is he going to be playing next season? Is he going to be loaned out? What do you know about him?
We signed him in the summer, but he's joined in January, and it's a bit mad really, because we've paid. It could rise up towards 40 million for an 18-year-old who played about 50 minutes of football for Atalanta in Serie A. He's a completely unknown entity. Me personally, they're the United signings that I get most excited about, because you see Ronaldo and Rooney, the two. Rooney's a bit different, but Ronaldo was someone that no one knew about, and obviously those comparisons are going to come straight away. And the thing about Diallo at United right now is, who do we have to play on the right wing? We didn't sign Jadon Sancho in the summer, and Dan James is ahead of him in the pecking order. And Mason Greenwood, he's had a tough year after what happened in the summer with Phil Foden. So he's not kicked on as much. I think Diallo he made his debut for the under-23s against Liverpool, scored 2 goals, was fantastic, and had the confidence to knock in a Panenka penalty in the 75th minute. It's the under-23s, so no one's going to look into that too much. But for an 18-year-old to do that in a game where he knew that the eyes would be on him, it's a real show of confidence. And I think Solskjaer is actually, I think he's done quite well in managing when to put kids in and when to take them out. But with Diallo, I think his hand might be forced a little bit because United really need someone on the right wing. And Diallo clearly can offer more than Dan James.
So you think he's going to get minutes between now and the end of the season?
Yeah, he'll definitely get minutes. Solskjaer was talking about him in his press conference today ahead of Southampton, and he said, look, he will get minutes this season. He won't go on loan anywhere. I think Diallo, clearly the scouting team has seen something in Diallo, something that none of us have seen yet because we haven't watched any of him. But I'm hoping that they're right. And I think it's about time that United's scouting network actually improved. So maybe Diallo can be a hit, but who knows? We'll see this season, eh?
Oh, he'll play, James. He'll play. Chris, can I just ask you who you'd start out of Henderson versus De Gea? What do you think? What's their best starting keeper?
I think De Gea is still a good keeper, to be honest with you. But I think he's past his best. I still think he's probably just ahead of Henderson. But I do think he's past his best. I don't think he's the same De Gea as a few years ago and stuff like that. But it's one of those positions, isn't it, where experience and leadership can sometimes shine through, and maybe that's what's keeping De Gea ahead of Henderson right now.
Yeah. Here's one as well. Here's another goalkeeper for you. Remember Romero? What happened to him, Sam? He hasn't even moved in this window. What's going on there?
Nah, to be fair, Romero got pretty shafted by United. They've not done him a good service there. He was he was a cracking backup goalkeeper. He was there throughout the Europa League, the cup campaign.
Oh, he sat there, didn't he? He was sitting on the bench, good as gold.
He did well. He's the best number 2 goalkeeper you can ever ask for. Proper established international, played in a World Cup final. And United, as I said, did him a disservice by not letting him get a move away. I think it was to Everton I think it might have been mid-deadline day. But United blocked it. And he's not even been in the Premier League squad this season. All of a sudden, he's turned up in training photos again. But again, he's still not moved. I think it must be a wage thing because United have made some horrendous decisions with contract renewals. And I think Romero's wages are just too high for any club that wants him. So that's pretty much the reason why he's just kind of rotting away at United, which is a shame for him.
Sam, just how good has Shaw been? He kept out Telles and Williams recently. Was written off by Jose Mourinho. It's pretty public that spat between the two, looked out of shape, and has come back in as playing probably some of the best football of his career. What have you made of his resurgence?
I don't think it's a question of whether it might be the best football of his career. He's playing the best football of his career by some margin as well. I think Alex Telles, everybody knows it in football. If you don't have competition for a place, it's very easy for a player to get complacent. And I think Luke Shaw massively sat in that category. Brandon Williams came in and sort of politely knocked on the door a couple of times last season, but didn't really strike the fear into Shaw. But Alex Telles did. And since Telles arrived, Shaw's been phenomenal. And he seems to have progressed in his attacking game. He's getting crosses in. He's doing far more overlapping runs. All the things that he wasn't doing last season, he's doing now. But matching it with the partnership he's building there on the left hand side, with Rashford, it's getting the best I've seen Shaw before this was Memphis Depay before Shaw got his injury against PSV, and they had a little partnership down the left. And United need some sort of threat from our fullbacks. Wan-Bissaka's learning that craft. He's good defensively. He's improving going forward, but he doesn't have that. And we don't have a right winger. So you can basically rule out the right-hand side for United. And that's why Shaw stood out so much, because we're so heavily reliant on the left-hand side. And Shaw, he's been a huge part of that.
Yeah, he's been absolutely unbelievable. The stamina of him just bombing up and down, I think a lot of people, because there is a lot of discussion about his size and his weight, you kind of wonder, you don't expect him to have that. But I think the last 3-4 weeks in particular, I've just been so surprised by him. The chat are talking to us all the time and continue to do that, guys. They're talking about Matip, Chris, out for the season. There's still time to get another centre-back. Who do you want?
Are you kidding me? Michael Edwards probably already got
one more centre-back. One more centre-back.
Just quickly, I just want to weigh in on Luke Shaw. Luke Shaw's the best I've seen anyone deal with Mo Salah recently, by quite some distance. Like twice We obviously came up against Manchester United in recent weeks, and Luke Shaw's been brilliant on it. On the centre-back thing, it has just been confirmed that Matip will miss the remainder of the season due to the ankle injury, which is gutting, but also makes you wonder what makes it known why Liverpool went so big to get two centre-halves in this window, because they absolutely had to. Matip was key for us, and he's a brilliant player. His problem is he's made of glass, but thankfully he doesn't take too long to get back up to speed. But with Matip going down, Liverpool needed two centre-halves. It's a bit of a sucker punch, that, because he's so good.
This sounds really cruel, but is there a weird, almost positive in this, in the fact that at least you have some clarity? Because I think because of the problem that you never know if he's going to stay fit or not, I think that's kind of stopped, or maybe allowed Liverpool to kind of hang on a minute, he might be all right, he might be all right, he might be all right. And it just doesn't feel like that's maybe ever going to be the case for him. So weirdly, is that just going to allow you kind of at least a bit of clarity moving forward?
If we didn't already have clarity around Joel Matip's injury issues, I think we've got major concerns, because it's so blindingly obvious. For the entire time that he's been available to us, he cannot string a run of 10 or 15 games together. I think he just falls down grids when he's walking down the street. He's a slight fella, innit, you know what I mean? And then injures himself in them and stuff like that. His injury record is absolutely atrocious. And if Liverpool needed him to go out for the season, that's stupid. We should have known that already. We should have done this before the season started, to be honest with you. We shouldn't be doing it on the last day of the transfer window, James. Liverpool went into the season with Joel Matip, who's got horrendous injury history, and Joe Gomez, who's been really unfortunate with his injuries as well, as two of our three recognised centre-backs. Liverpool should have had this boxed off well before the January transfer window, mate.
Sam Peoples, no centre-backs coming in at United. Are you disappointed? You feel like you need to strengthen there?
Disappointed, but completely expected. But United were never going to look. I think we've kind of followed the same path that Man City have done in they tried to replace Company, and they have spent literally hundreds of millions, and now they found Ruben Diaz. Now, Harry Maguire was always overpriced. Everybody knew that. And at times, Harry Maguire looks good, and I like him, and at times, I hate him. It's a bit love-hate with Maguire, but the thing that United just do not. No, I don't. I think I'm pretty reflective of United fans. I think I'm fair in saying that. And the thing that United just still don't have, we don't have somebody who defensively organises that defence, especially on set pieces. You see it. Surely that's the easiest thing to work on in a training ground. Is the ball's getting kicked from a corner, it can only land in a certain amount of places, and all of it, every single time United are abysmal at defending set pieces. But it's not just set pieces, just the overall defensive organisation. That's something that Harry Maguire should be doing as the captain of Manchester United, and it's just something that he has not really, I don't think, done enough of, and that's why our defence is still like it is.
So do you think he kind of needs another leader next to him? Like in the same way that Diaz has brought a better player in Stones out, it's actually perhaps Stones isn't the leader and he's the number 2 centre-back. Do you know what I mean? So maybe Maguire needs a number 1 and he becomes the number 2 centre-back. Do you know what I mean? He needs a leader in that, and he can just concentrate on just headering it.
I don't know whether you call it number 1s or number 2s, but like with Eric Bailly, Eric Bailly brings out the
long street.
Harry Maguire. Yeah, I know. I was going to come out 1 right. There you go. Eric Maguire.
What do I do?
Sorry, go on. Eric Bailly. The weaknesses in Harry Maguire's game are covered by Eric Bailly, and when he's a bit like Matip, I suppose. His injury record is horrendous. And Victor Lindelof is too slow. So just United haven't got the right. We still haven't got the right blend at centre back. That's the issue.
Yeah, United definitely need like a £200 million defender to make the £80 million one half decent. That sounds about right. He's just rubbish. Just say it, Sam. He's atrocious, mate.
He's not atrocious. How can you possibly call him atrocious?
Between them, there's something wrong. One thing I'll say, I'm surprised. If the transfer window opened in like October, you would have definitely got a centre back. It's only because you've been on a good run, isn't it?
What are you trying to say?
I'm just saying what you probably should have got a centre back. That's what I'm saying. Because he's going to let you down at some point, according to you.
Captain hindsight, it's terrific opinion.
I'm going to defend Sam here in saying that they've done fantastic this season. Manchester United have done. They're still in the title race, actually. All right, if they hadn't lost to Sheffield United, which was a freak result, then probably still be top, more or less. So they'll be fine. It's fine. Don't worry.
If they didn't lose those games, they'd be top.
Yeah.
Chris, we're trying to help him. It's not.
It's not helping him.
Let's give
it an adult and saying,
"Win all your games, Flav." Eh?
Look, mate, I don't need any help. United are fine this season. We're accidentally in a title race we have no right to be in. And look at us, we're fine. You concentrate on
I
your own
rate
problems.
United,
We're
Sam.
happy where we
Sam,
are.
calm down. Calm down,
Whoa.
Sam. I rate United. We all rate United. I think it's good.
You, Flav. Thanks, mate.
Final question then,
You're
Sam.
welcome.
Van der Beek, that's not worked, has it?
Bit of a strange one. That it kind of strikes me as the club signed him rather than Solskjaer. A bit like Fred with Mourinho at the start. He should be playing more. It's as simple as that. Bruno Fernandes. I know. I'm sure it will work out in the goodness of time. But Bruno Fernandes looks absolutely exhausted right now. And if you've got a £40 million player like Van der Beek on the bench, who's very similar to Bruno Fernandes in a lot of respects, you rest Bruno a bit more. But Ole's got a bit of a habit of when he gets into those situations, he puts on the players that he trusts. Like us playing Liverpool, Bailly was in such good form going into that game, but Lindelof came straight back in. Ultimately, we kept a clean sheet for that game, so it kind of proved a vindicated decision. But that's kind of what Solskjaer does. He reverts to his trusted martials, not martials, but generals, whoever you want to call it. But yeah.
Yeah, he'll come good. He'll come good, Sam. Don't worry about it.
He'll be fine. He'll win the league this year.
Fine. It's so lovely to talk to you, Sam, and you too, Chris.
I've missed you.
We've missed you, mate. We've missed you. It's lovely.
I've missed all this.
Like this stream, just for that moment there, it was emotional. Right, guys, thank you very much. We've now got to talk to someone very special. We're still looking for that player. But final, actually, Carragher's made a couple of texts for us, so he's still looking to get that player in for us. But he did text Steven Gerrard, who should, all being well, join us now on the stream. Wow, this is lovely.
Where is he?
Stevie.
Oh, there he is.
Stevie, thank you first of all for joining us, mate.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me on. It's great to be here. So, yeah, looking forward to it.
Stevie, can I just congratulate you on the job you're doing at Rangers? The story about you potentially stopping 10 in a row. Actually, can't not do it now. Stopping that 10 in a row, it's just something else.
Yeah, of course. It's an incredible feeling. To go there, it's a very difficult league, as we all know. You've got three incredible teams in that league who you've got to beat every single week. I mean, we only play against Celtic 500 times a season. You've got to make them wins count when you play them. But it's an incredible feeling to stop 10 in a row. Look, it's not over. They're breathing down our toenails at the moment, so we've got to be careful. But we're close, boys. And look, I can't wait. It's going to be very exciting. We've had a couple of things going on today on deadline day. Jermaine Defoe has gone to St Mirren under 89s on loan. It's a big move for him. The only thing I've brought in is 250 crates of Iron Brew for our trophy parade next week when we've won the league, because it's nearly over. But yeah, of course, it's a great feeling.
Yeah, with those, in terms of that stopping that 10 in a row, you've sent out a real message to Neil Lennon and Celtic, haven't you?
Yeah, of course, definitely. Look, Celtic have had an incredible time. They've won 9 trophies and 9 leagues, of course, and I think they've won the last 400 trophies in Scotland. But look, we've sent out a massive message really with what we've done this season. Look, I love Neil Lennon. I hope he gets a new contract. I think he's doing an incredible job. I want him there for the next 20 years, of course. We all do. the only people that don't are Celtic fans. But look, it's a very exciting time. I think you can see, boys, how excited I am. Mm-hmm.
Stevie, I hate to say it, but you have slipped in title races before. How certain are you that you'll get this one done, this job done?
Yeah, of course. Look, I've been there before. You are right. We have let it go a couple of times, but Denver Bar's not around no more. So I'm confident we can get it done. If I don't win the league this year, I think I'll just quit football. With having a 500 point back, I'll walk away. What's the point? It should be over, but it's exciting.
Yeah. No, it is. It's so exciting. Obviously, this Rangers job is huge, but you'll forever be linked with Liverpool. You know, you play with some of the best in the game, and surely you'd want to manage some of the best in the game. Do you see yourself as a Liverpool manager someday?
Yeah, of course I do. It's the dream job, of course. But look, Jurgen Klopp's doing an incredible job. He really is, and I support him. I hope he's there for a long time. But if he ever does leave, I'd love to go and do that job. I've got great experience now. I've managed Liverpool under nines. I've managed Rangers in the toughest league in Scotland. So it will be on my list, but we'll have to wait and see whether the offer comes. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. But Jurgen's doing a good job. He is. Yeah.
He is. As are you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks, boys.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Last thing, Stevie, if it's okay to ask, we've been trying to get a player on the whole stream, and we haven't been able to do it. I've only got so many contacts. It seems like Flav's got 0 contacts.
I haven't got any there.
It's nice to get a player on the. Do you think you might be able to? Is there any way you might be able to find someone for us?
Yeah, of course I will. I can speak to a good friend of mine, but he's a player manager. I don't know whether that would work for you. I can get in touch with him.
We'll take anything at this. As long as they're registered to play football, then I think that technically is a win for us.
Yeah, okay. Definitely. I'll speak to a good friend of mine who's just gone into a job. I'm sure he'll come on and speak to you. But be delicate with him, okay? Because he's doing very well. But I won't name him. I'll leave that to you boys. Yeah, of course. You'll be excited.
Great. Well, no, I mean, it's been a joy and an honour to chat to you, Stevie. Thank you so much. And yeah, if you are able to help us out, then that would be glorious. Fingers crossed, we can chat to this this mystery player that Stevie's lining up for us later in the show. So stick around, guys, because it feels like we're close, Flav. It feels like we might have got this done.
Yeah,
great.
Any guesses? Any guesses? Maybe in the comments.
I wouldn't dare do that, Flav, at all. Let's talk to Jack. Let's talk to the main man, Jack. He's in the know. He always is. A lot of last-minute moves. Last-minute meals. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, if you are eating now, it's probably a little bit late. Won't be able to digest properly. But up to you. It's your call. Jack, are you there, my friend?
I am.
Is Jack not the happiest person? Every time I see Jack, he comes back, he's so happy, so fresh-faced and bright. It's beautiful to see, Jack. Crack on, mate.
Happy to be involved, mate. Look, I've got one for you, James, because earlier you were talking about Will Grigg going somewhere, right? He's going to MK Dons. It's pretty much done deal. Wow. So, I mean, it's not the biggest deal of the day, I will be honest, but I know how excited you were about him going somewhere. So I just thought I'd let you know, basically. I
don't know if this story's right, Jack, but Will Grigg, there's a celebration that Will Grigg did once, and I want to say it was either he was playing for Swindon against MK Dons or for MK Dons against Swindon, and it was against his former club, and he scored. And normally, when you score, you don't celebrate, do you? You kind of go, you stop, and you're a bit somber. But he scored this goal and went sort of wheeled off to the left, stopped for a second, and then went run off to the to rub it into the faces of his former club. So I don't know if that is MK Dons or it was for MK Dons, but hopefully it was for MK Dons, because I don't think the fans will be too happy with that one. But yeah,
otherwise it could be a bit awkward. Yeah, well, I'm excited for him. Hopefully he'll regain his fire over there. And look, Flav, for you, it's good news. you're not the only worried Spurs fan here. And we've got Mike Gibson, who sent this in.
I'm a Tottenham fan, and I'm still not quite sure after 18 months or so whether or not I like the manager. On the one hand, we've had some big results against Man City and a few other really kind of textbook Jose performances. On the other hand, he's really negative. He's cast aside Dele Alli and blamed the players for defeats and draws. What would you say as someone from the outside looking in on the kind of job he's done, the signings he's made, and how he's got us playing? Cheers.
Yes, Mike, I feel you. I mean, yeah, you're right. Your feeling is it's been so poor. Football's so bad. Oh God, it's not like
tomorrow. Listen to me, Flav. Listen to me, okay? Listen to me. Right? And Mike, listen to me. One victory changes everything. Look at me. Look how happy I am. Queen's Park Rangers are, I haven't looked at the table, we're 18th or something like that. But we won today. So the world is great. So this week, you could win. You could win your next game.
Chelsea.
Flav, and then
James, we got Chelsea. We're not going to beat
think
them.
about how great that's going to feel, Flav. Think about how great that could feel if you beat Chelsea.
It is. Yes, that is true. Do you think we'll beat Chelsea?
No one gave us a chance against the mighty Watford with all their riches.
That's true.
It's
essentially what everybody warned us about, but we didn't want to hear it. Just all I saw was 22 titles. That's what I saw. Champions Leagues with Porto, trebles with Inter Milan, La Ligas with Real Madrid, titles with Chelsea. Manchester United were winning. I just wanted a bit of that. Taste some of that glory. But why has it happened at Tottenham Hotspur? Why has it happened so quickly? Why didn't we get the up before the down? We've just gone like that.
Let's bring in Chris on this one. Chris joins us now. Chris has a manager that he loves. What are your thoughts on Mourinho, Chris, and the sort of any comparisons you can compare Mourinho and Klopp to help Flav out?
Why'd you ask him
Not
that?
anymore. Not anymore. I don't think so. Look, I've been very outspoken on my views on Mourinho and how I didn't think it would work at Tottenham Hotspur. I thought maybe this season might come to him a little bit in some ways, but it just doesn't seem like a Tottenham manager. He doesn't play the style of football that Tottenham probably want to play. And I just don't think he's as good a manager as he was 5 years ago or 10 years ago or whatever. I think we're a long time away from his last great side. So I've got nothing for you there, Flav. I'm not looking to try and cheer you up, to be honest, because you've made your bed. Now lie in it.
I didn't make the bed. I didn't even. It just happened, and then I've gone, all right. Well, he's our manager now, so let's just focus on the good stuff. And now
you did sit on the edge.
There was none. I sat on the edge of the bed. I watched it. I sat on the edge of the bed as it was being made, and I didn't stop it from happening.
Yeah,
agreed. Look, the thing is what this whole mad thing about football is that Chris Pajak had nothing to do with Klopp signing, nothing at all, and he gets to sit there and wallow in all his glory. I had nothing to do with Jose Mourinho coming for Tottenham, and I have to deal with the agony. Why is that fair?
It doesn't seem completely fair, but might be character building.
That's true. When we get the up eventually, when we win a trophy, it will be amazing. God, imagine that.
Are you enjoying the journey, Flav? Are you enjoying the journey to that trophy?
No, not at all. And that the journey is, half the enjoyment. So we're not even getting the enjoyment of the journey. We might get a League Cup at the end of it, which after a day or two, the glow of that wears off, doesn't it? The League Cup. So I'm not sure what we've got to enjoy it all.
Maybe this will help. You're more likely to win a trophy than Liverpool right now because you're in a final. Liverpool are not in a final. Right? It's more likely that you're going to win one within the near future than Liverpool.
That's true. But what I would say, Chris, let me ask you.
I don't know.
Chris, let me ask you that. Would you want the distraction of a League Cup final?
with our squad. It's just another game for them all to get injured in, isn't it, to be honest, Flav? We've got 3 recognised centre-halves out for the season. Listen, look, I'm sure you'll enjoy the League Cup. You have, as you say, you have a good couple of days. Like, I'll still be basking in the fact that we're league champions, and I'll continue to bask in that until the day that we're not anymore, until somebody else lifts that trophy. So we'll have had a good run, to be fair. But look, it's a competition that Mourinho likes to win, isn't it? You know, he seems to think that it does good for the squad, and Tottenham with a trophy under the belt could be a completely different proposition.
Yeah, maybe that's what we need. Maybe things will change. Look, I've seen some great performances with Spurs under Jose Mourinho this year. I really have. Like the Man United game was fantastic. The Southampton game, and everybody's rating Haaland on how good a job he's done at Southampton. He has. They could not cope with us. We beat Manchester City. You know, we could have had a different result at Anfield. We've beaten Arsenal this year. We draw away at Chelsea. It's not like we weren't able to get results against good sides. It's just that when you win, it's like you make excuses for the poor football or the unentertaining football. And when you lose, it's really hard to do that. And there's no middle ground. And that's the difficulty. And when you're losing more than you're winning, you start to focus on all the negative aspects of the play. But maybe there is still some aces for Jose Mourinho to play, and the season will work out in a different way.
Flav, if he was to win a trophy for you, would you be quite happy going into next year with him as the manager? And are you actually confident of him going and producing a great Tottenham Hotspur side?
You know the answer to that.
But I want to hear you say it.
No, I'm not confident at all.
Tough stream, isn't it?
It has been tough. It has been tough for me. It's if he wins a league, he's got to win the FA Cup to get another year's grace. The League Cup doesn't really. This is me saying it as someone who's only watched us lift League Cups in the last 2 decades. It doesn't count as much. Like when Pochettino was our manager, he we didn't even think about the League Cup. It wasn't even in a secondary thought. But now it's like definitely want to win that. So the problem is Jose Mourinho going to change the way he plays football? No. With this squad, is he going to be able to win the vast majority of games he plays? No. So it's not going to work out. If I click my finger now and just not in this,
different team that will win trophies?
No, not in this climate. You know, how's he going to find the money? He's not going to do anything, is he? It's very difficult. It's a challenge for him. What we need is a manager to work miracles with our squad, and we've basically got experience. Unless it changes massively, and he managed to start getting wins out of the bag, we're going to have to just watch and experience the slow, steady decline until we find a new manager. That is football for most people. What Chris Pajak experiences on a season-by-season basis is not what most football fans experience. James, poor little James. They got to go on then. Sorry, go on.
Are Tottenham a big enough football club to sack Mourinho halfway through a season?
Yes, that's for that without question. Yes,
it's about money. Do you think they would if you've dropped to sort of 8th?
No, it probably wouldn't. He wouldn't want to spend the money. He wouldn't want to spend the money on.
And do you know what? Sorry, can I call this out? Because I saw Chris look down to his right. He's looked at the table and he's seen that Villa are on 32, Everton are on 33, Chelsea are on 33. So you essentially are 8th already. Terrible. Know you too well. Oh,
we've got games.
Let's look. Enough of this. Let's take a breath. Let's cheer you up because we've got our footballer. We have our football. Thank you, Chris, for all your help in that fan line bit, raising the spirits of Flav there. I think that worked brilliantly. We have done it, Flav. We've got a footballer on the stream. Stevie Gerrard, he teased it, didn't he? He gave us a little tease. He said, yes, he's a footballer, but he's just become a manager, but he's still registered. We'll take it because it's an actual footballer on the stream. I'm proud to say Wayne Rooney joins us right now. Wayne, it is. Thank you so much for helping us achieve our goals. It's great to have you on.
Yeah, thanks a lot for inviting me onto Street Ball. It's a great show, and obviously it's great for me to come on and speak to you guys. So thanks so much,
Wait, yeah, thank you so much for coming on, Wayne. I didn't expect that at all. I wasn't sure what to expect, and I didn't expect that. So, you could still do a job as a player manager, though, right? Doing a good job at Derby. What do you see yourself as a player for the next season or two? What can you do?
Yeah, I think it's obviously it's quite difficult because you want to believe in the strikers that we've got at County Derby. That's the most important thing. But look, I think that I've got to believe we've got some very good strikers. We've got 3 great strikers. We've got Colin, Kazim, and Richard as well. That's 3 very good strikers who are doing really well at the moment. And we tried to do a deal today on the deadline transfer day and bring in Billy Sharp. United Sheffield wanted 2 million, but we managed, to get them down to 7 million and do a deal. So it's I think the future's bright. We're hopefully going to get ourselves promoted right up to League One, because I believe in this County Derby players, and that's the future. But that's what everyone's got to do. So it's great. It's going so far so well at the moment, and obviously we've won some games and without delegation areas. So I'm quite happy with the players. So
yeah, Wayne. So you should be. You've come in and you've worked wonders. Big talking point at the moment. The idea of a possible sort of circuit break. What are your thoughts on your players getting a circuit break?
Look, I'll be honest with you. I've never broke my circuit. So hopefully the lads don't get picked that up. I did break my ankle back in the day, but never broke my circuit. But it does sound quite painful. So hopefully the lads don't have to go through that.
Yeah, of course.
Is it Wayne? Is it frustrating being such a great player when you have to watch as a manager?
Yeah, definitely. Because like I say to the boys when I first came in, it's look, at the end of the day, even though I'm 100 times better than all these put together, it's I still think you can do a good job for County Derby. So it's it's great, and the players have really adapted to the tactics and everything. So it is frustrating. Sometimes you do want to put your socks on and get out there and play for County Derby, but I've got to believe in like I said, in me 3 great strikers, Colin, Kazim and Richard. All of them are brilliant.
Yeah, no, they're all fantastic. Obviously played under the greatest of all, Sir Alex Ferguson, as Flav likes him to be known. Always remember the Sir. Has Fergie been in touch with any tips?
Yeah, spoke to a couple of my previous managers, and some of the top managers. I didn't ring Dave Moyes, but leave that one there. Didn't ring Jose Mourinho either. As Flav says, he's I want to play attacking football and not put 12 men behind the ball. So you want to do something different. And look, Sir Alex, I've got a lot of respect for. I've worked with him, of course, at Man United, so I've reached out a couple of times, and he has given me some advice as well. So hopefully I can throw boots at my players, and get a reaction. That's what he told me to do, done it to Beckham or something. So yeah.
Of course, Gerrard, Lampard, and yourself, Wayne Rooney, you're all managers now. Did you think that you'd be managers when your time playing together?
Yeah, it wasn't something that we all discussed, and of course, we all played the game at a top level, won Premier Leagues and stuff, and but me and Frank did. But we always won some trophies, and of course, I don't think we would have expected. But look, my aim is to try and go high in the game, and that's what I'm going to do with County Derby. I honestly believe in this team. In 2 years' time, could definitely be up to League Two. That's how good this team is. So we'll see how it goes.
Wayne, thank you so much for making the stream today. It's just glorious to have you with us. We really do appreciate it. Good luck with County Derby.
Thanks very
thanks
much.
so much.
Cheers. Thanks a lot. Thanks, bye.
Cheers, mate.
Wayne Rooney there. He's just got so much potential, isn't he, Flav? I think he's gonna do amazing things indeed. Round of applause for Wayne.
No chance.
Right, let's go chat to Jack for a. Is it the final news roundup? I don't know. It's too early to tell. But Jack, are you there? Let us know what's the latest. We're getting very close to the deadline now.
Final one. It is 6 minutes to go. Time running out. Olivier Ntcham has joined Marseille from Celtic, former City man. So your old pal, Steven Gerrard, be delighted. Another one through the exit door at Celtic. Everton sadly look like they've won the tug of war for Josh King. So that's quite disheartening, to be honest, as a Fulham fan, although Fulham will sign former academy man Josh Maja from Bordeaux, which is something, I guess. West Brom have got Ainsley Maitland-Niles over the line, and it looks like Newcastle are going to do something similar with Joe Willock, and the agreement is all done for Minamino to Southampton. They've submitted the deadline day papers. It's all very exciting when someone puts a deal sheet in, isn't it? Because it means it can go after the deadline, but that's submitted and they have the extension. So I will imagine that will come through post-deadline, and that is pretty much everything wrapped and locked and loaded in terms of the Premier League.
Good work.
Great work, Jack.
You've been such a positive force this evening, and what I did notice was just a slight crack in the smile as you gave us the news that the player you wanted wasn't coming to your football club, and just that there was someone together in this latter part of the stream that could share a tiny bit of misery with me.
Don't worry, mate. I'm always here for rain or shine.
Yes, well, Flav jokes, but overall, it's been a cracking stream. Actually, one quick question, Jack. Josh Maja, did that go through? Has that gone through? Have you got yourself a striker?
It doesn't. Well, it hasn't gone through yet, but all the reports are suggesting that it is a done deal. Just waiting for official confirmation. But it looks okay.
Right.
Looks okay.
So there you go, guys. I think the important thing to remember here is that there is always a silver lining, guys. If you've signed players, then they could save your season. If you haven't signed players, then those players that you would have signed might have ruined your season. You can always spin it, Flav. We've said that for years. You can always spin it. Okay.
Indeed, you can. I think that's a good philosophy to take into it, because this is just a transfer window and a transfer deadline day that was always going to be difficult to get players over the line. But you see what Liverpool have done. It's fantastic work. They've solved their problems as they do over and over again. They identify issues and they get them done. So they've had a great window. But there's also been some other good transfer deals done with West Brom as well, wasn't it? So just fantastic. Been a great 4 hours. I've loved spending it all with you.
It's gone so quickly. In the chat, quick question for the chat, as I asked Jack the same question. Being around all the transfers, Jack, who do you think has, of course, this is just one day of the transfer window. Overall, who do you think, it's always that obvious question, who are the winners and losers here? Who do you think has had a good week, a good window?
It's hard to look past Liverpool today, but I've got to say, if that Minamino deal goes through to Southampton, that's an unbelievable signing. I'm really hot on that. Obviously, played up top in a 2 for Salzburg under Jesse Marsch. Similar manager in Hassan Hüttl, who obviously comes from that same kind of school, will come back to Klopp, gives him that chance to kind of rotate from Che Adams. I like that deal a lot. I think Minamino will thrive at Saints. So, if that goes through, as I think it will, let's give it Southampton. Good bit of business out of nowhere.
Yeah, well, they kept trying, didn't they? I think it was Maitland-Niles they wanted. There's a few players that they've been trying to get through the door, and to get Minamino right at the end there, a player who hasn't really had the true opportunity yet. I think it could be a good one for them. I was saying, down in League One, I think Troy Parrott, we were joking about him a little bit, but to get him into League One, I think is a huge one. And also, I think West Brom making a couple of signings today. Big Sam, Flav, he knows what he's doing, doesn't he? Do you think he might sort it out?
Don't know. They're still a long way off, but Maitland-Niles is a great signing. That does elevate and give him an element of class. If he gets to play in midfield, he's going to have a happy player there and still has an option defensively in the fullback positions as well. So that's a fantastic sign. I was very surprised that was happening. Big Sam knows how to get out of the relegation doldrums, doesn't he? And let's see if he can do it again. I
Yes.
just want to say
Jack,
thank you to Jack.
Yeah, go on.
Thank you, Jack. It's been an absolute
Thank you.
delight working with you today. Such a power of positivity.
I try my best, Flav. Thank you for having me.
He's been brilliant, isn't he? As has everyone who's joined us today. Thank you for joining us today on the Deadline Day Live, powered by Snickers Protein. More protein and 30% less sugar than your regular Snickers bar. Thank you for getting involved in the fan line, the Snickers Protein fan line today. Thanks for getting involved in the chat. I feel like we've eased some footballing woes. And Flav, I hope we've relieved some of your worries as well. But it's all good fun, isn't it, mate?
Yeah, it's all good fun. I can't say I feel good, but it is all good fun. We've had some big highs and some very confusing moments thanks to Rory Jennings. But yeah, it's been fantastic, and by and large, it's all going to be okay. That's football. All it is. It's a beautiful, secular, ever-moving, evolving sport, and we love it all, and that's why we're here.
So as we just said, big thanks to Snickers Protein for making all of this possible, and hopefully they've helped you get you back loving the beautiful game. From me and Flav, goodbye.
Goodbye.